Welcome to Beer Money Pulling Team. Sit down. Shut up. Hang All right, Mr. Payne, where was this at 9 years ago?
Franklin, Kentucky, for the TS Performance tractor pull, along with the drag race they had there.
So it's been 2013, you think? Does that feel right?
I think that's about right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to watch it, and then we're going to talk about it, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, we have Brent Payne on the show tonight, guys. Sorry, I haven't done my formal introductions yet.
It's your first day, so.
Great video from our friend JP, Jesse Post at JP Pulling Productions. Welcome, everybody. It's Monday, October 10th. It's Let's Grow Pulling Live. I'm Jason Schultz, the Paul Romack up there in the top right, Brent Yarn there in the top left. Ryan Roosink is probably mixing a drink on the bottom left.
We're allowed to do that?
What's that?
Yeah, didn't you get the memo?
Doug was supposed to tell you, Brent, that you're allowed to drink on the show, so it's all good.
Next time.
Well, Brent, welcome to Let's Grow Pulling. We're honored to have you on here. We're trying to tell the stories of pullers. Obviously, we're going to talk about GMS tonight, your business. Talk about the Glock tractors we see you driving a lot, of course. And then the Color of Money tractor, that was you and your dad had that. Can you kind of, if you don't mind, just starting at the beginning, let's just talk about who you are. Tell us about your family, and then get into how pulling started with you, and let's just work our way up to the current state of where we are.
Oh gosh, when did it start? From the beginning. In the early '80s, my dad had a 190 Alice Chalmers super stock, I guess you'd call it back then. Sold that because then he had me, and then antique tractors, and we had the Alice Chalmers big antique cubic inch antique tractors. We pulled those, and then started to kind of grow up in the antique. The antique tractor side, and then decided to start going super stock pulling in about 1997. Okay. So my dad got me into the sport, and he had me pedal pulling at 3 years old, and until I couldn't do that no more. And then we did a few garden tractor things and then antiques and all that. So it started at the bottom up.
What was the name of your dad's first super stock?
It never had a name. I think it was just one of them things that he had for a short time, And,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how he got started?
My grandpa and my one uncle would take him. They would go to travel to tractor pulls years ago. They were in the excavating business, and did some farming and things too. So they just became fans. When it started, he was at the first Bowling Green, I think. So my dad's been involved in the sport for years and years.
That's awesome.
Was that predominantly in the Ohio area then?
Between there and Louisville, Kentucky, they would go travel around within, a few hours at home.
Yeah.
I'm just playing our interview from Rockwell that we did, Brent, in the background while we talk. So it's just, I'm not having sound on the video, so we can just keep talking. So
yeah, go for it.
But show off the beautiful machines there. So 97 is when you got into unlimited super stock pulling, you think?
Well, so, my dad had always been a fan of a guy named Gene Sharber for years and years, and wanted Gene to build him a tractor, and never would get him to do it because he was kind of busy at the phone company at the time. And there was a fellow named Wayne Kennedy that owned the tractor, the original Color of Money, which was actually Gene Sharber's tractor, the last tractor he owned. Well, Gene Sharber was the founder of GMS, Gene's Machine Shop. So in 1996, 97, my dad purchased that tractor from Wayne Kennedy to get Gene Sharber to work for him on his tractor. So we kind of started that, you know, and I would start hanging out with Gene at that time, you know, learning some things about the tractor. That tractor lasted a short while. We realized that it wasn't going to be competitive enough in the level we wanted to pull. So we then built a new component chassis in 1999, 2000.
And then the rest is history.
Well, you know, as your budgets and time and all that allow and things, yeah, we kind of were in and out over the next several years. I purchased GMS from Gene and his wife when Gene was sick with Lou Gehrig's disease, and I took that on a little quicker than I anticipated. Moved it from Kentucky to Ohio and started over there, and we tried to dabble in our own with the Color Money for the next couple of years, switching from the unlimited super stock back to the lights to learn that business a little bit more and learn the engine combination. And once I had that sorted out, that run that you showed right up front there was the second to last run that I made on the tractor. And after that, it was business back to business. So,
yep. No, good deal. Good deal. Just join us. Let's Grow Pulling live Monday, October 10th. Brent, Paul, Jason, Brian with our guest Brent Payne tonight. You're seeing a video that I did with Brent for our Behind the Helmet interview, where this is how we roll of the Glock Motorsports team, and Brent's obviously part of that. And we did this in Rockwell, Iowa. And again, we're talking with Brent. If you have any, I want to hear some good Color of Money or some, you know, older. When you remember Brent's a younger man back in his earlier days, if you will, on just stories and different things like that. I've always thought you were a hell of a driver, Brent, and it's been fun to watch you pull all these years. So thank you for driving. You guys and mini rod pullers, I feel, are the crazy ones because of your horsepower to weight ratio. You never know what an unlimited super or a mini rod's going to do. And when you guys grab the throttle, it's got to be a thrill.
It is. I mean, and somehow they always catch me in the best moments, right? Like the TS performance video you showed there. Ryan's caught me in multiple times with the wheels up, and then all of a sudden the front end down and crashed. And I seem to get caught a lot with in those situations, but I don't leave the starting line unless I think I got a shot to win.
Right.
So give it everything we've got. Sometimes it's too much. So.
Well said. Well said. If anybody has any question for Brent, please type in the comments. I'll put them there up on the screen. Brent, let's talk about the Glock Motorsports a little bit. How many tractors are you guys campaigning currently?
The two open super stocks right now still. The light pro stock is running more and more. Holt Strickland, John's son, has been campaigning that more this summer. He's got several runs on it down south, and you know, he's getting the hang of that really well. He also got the chance to drive the one tractor at Bowling Green and did a really good job there. So, unfortunately, my time is probably limited in the seat. But we are in the process of working on a light super stock tractor that I have been building on my own alongside this, you know, and going to campaign under the lot name as well. So. Probably not a full-time deal next year, but you know, to learn it and figure out what we can do with it and come out swinging. So
how did 2022 go for you guys, Brent?
Sorry, what was that?
How did the 2022 pulling season go for you guys?
You know, we kind of this year we decided we were just gonna sort of slow down a little bit. You know, the COVID thing was a bad deal for everybody, but for us, it made us realize there was other things to do. And pulling for the last 20 some years, there's a lot of other things that we can be doing. So John has a lot of work going on at home, and of course I got a lot of work going on at GMS, and you know, I can't be gone as much as I'd like to be. And again, the kids got things to do, and so we kind of wanted to slow down this year and just hit some like 2-day events and not be going during the week to the single day events. And really it was a nice schedule. We started out in Benson, and then John went to Toma without me because I was whitewater rafting with my family, which was really cool. But then Norwalk, Ohio, and Rockwell, Iowa, and Bowling Green. It was a really nice schedule. So we had some success. We did finish 1 and 2 a lot of the times, and then finished out the season. I finally got around the other tractor and was first myself, and he was second. So we had some pretty good success really for the limited amount of time we ran.
Yeah, we're showing some of your Rockwell runs here right now. These would have been Thursday nights, I think.
That was the better night. It was just like at Norwalk. The first night we were awesome, first and second. Second night we looked like we couldn't. It was our first day on the job, so track changes. We didn't accommodate, or we didn't change our setup nearly enough for the next day, and just didn't work out. But it happens. So
yep. Oh, tractor pulling has a way of making you think when you have it all figured out. Brent has a way to come up and smacking you upside the head. So
that's right. That's right.
Got a question here for you. James Phillips, he's a mini rod puller out of Arizona. I know that for a fact. He's asking, who builds these component chassis for these bigger tractors? Are they homemade or are they just bought from somewhere? Who's all in the chassis game these days?
Well, Engler is number one. They do the majority of the building still, and they're unfortunately a couple of years out all the time. So they do a lot of it. Full Pull Motorsports has done a few, and Ace Chassis used to do more of them. He's kind of more into the ag type chassis nowadays. Modern Machine, Scott Tedder. I guess I can't think of all. And there's a lot of guys that just build their own. So we've built a few ourselves. The number one tractor that I drive, we built that chassis, and we've kind of reconfigured the other tractors. But as far as production stuff, we're not really a production chassis shop. So
Gotcha. What was the other question? What did Russ say, Brent? What is the furthest someone has brought an engine for you to work on?
In a container ship or in an airplane over the sea. So we work on an engine for the Mud Patrol team in the Netherlands, and it's been to the shop at least 3 times to dyno and to rebuild and all that. Now we've got them where they can kind of handle most everything on their own now, but when they're in the early stages of learning, we would ship it over here and work on it and then ship it back.
So Brent, you guys kind of got into the mini rod game there for a little while. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I'm way too big to be pulling a mini rod, for one.
Movable weight might be an issue.
That is a problem, right? So the Pro Charger was definitely good for movable weight because it did allow for that. It was handy for me because I'm big, but probably 100 pounds at least too big for a mini rod. But it was a fun project. The Pro Charger was, that was kind of helpful to get the support of ProLine and Fuel Tech and Pro Charger for that project. And it was something new and different. A lot of people were excited about it. We put every effort we could into that thing to make it work. And the combination just wasn't going to work. The Pro Charger made extremely good horsepower, but it wouldn't make enough torque. So you had to really drive hard off the starting line to get going. And by the time you're to 150 to 200 feet, it was so hot. The intake air was so hot that it would just shred the belt. So, and to back it down, it wouldn't run good enough, and to speed it up, it run too good. So it just didn't have a lot of range like a roots blower would have. So at the end of the day, it was like enough headache. Just get rid of it and quit, call it quits.
Yeah, it definitely had everybody talking there for a while. There's a lot of people that were really hoping to see it to do it because it did have all the potential in the world. But it's just like you said, you can get one, but you can't get the other. And it's a hard. You got to have that mix. Right.
And it was a really cool piece. A lot of new fans, a lot of drag racing fans liked it. A lot of current pulling fans that were just really excited to see something different. The mini rod class as a whole hated it. They were so afraid that we were going to come out with something that was just going to kick ass. And we were hopeful, but just didn't pan out. I told them, right up front, I said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. You can either let us try this, or you can eliminate it. We're going to put a roots blower on just like you guys got and come out swinging hard. And it just, it was a fun project that just didn't pan out, To be honest with you, I mean, I like the Mini still. It isn't the same fun ride as a light super or a heavy super. I mean, it to me it's those two tractors have been the most fun I've driven out of anything. And I've driven super farms and light pros and heavy pro stocks and all that stuff. And the lights and the heavies are probably still the best ride, even over the Mini.
You're muted, Schultz. All right. Well, he's doing that. We got a question here. Can you see that on the screen, Brent?
That's a good question, Art. I'm glad you asked it.
Have you pushed the technology?
You've always pushed the technology envelope from fuel systems to the Pro Charger. Mm-hmm. Where do you see the next advance in horsepower?
That's tough.
You said we could ask you anything, Payne. Don't back out.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, we're just getting warm, buddy.
We struggle with this. I've been in the horsepower sales business for a long time and decided that we don't really need any more horsepower because they can't get it to the ground in most cases. So it's hard for me because we don't really focus on selling more horsepower. We sell, better quality driveline and better setup. And we offer consultation services for movable weight and data collection and all those things that are overlooked. I was in a dyno business and we've been to the dyno many, many times, and the dyno does not help a puller win. So my, the focus at GMS is no longer horsepower. So that's a hard question to answer. But on the other hand, where do you gain it? It's in turbocharged motorsports. It's strictly in boost. It really hasn't changed a lot in the last several years. You crank the boost up, you put more fuel to it, you make more horsepower. The cylinder heads, the crankshafts, rods, pistons, sleeves, the cam, all those things just have to become more durable along with it.
You mentioned a great point there about the horsepower. Everybody, you hear a lot of guys that are chasing horsepower numbers. And one of the things that, being around that stuff, guys are chasing a number. And it's just exactly like you said, you can have all the horsepower in the world. And that mini rod might be the perfect example that you guys did. All the horsepower potential in the world, but you've got to be able to get it to the track, whether it be because you don't have torque or whatever. But that's when guys say, I've got 2,000 horsepower in a 1,300 horsepower class. It's like, you probably don't. But even if you did, you couldn't get it to the ground if you wanted to.
Well, that's right. I mean, I guess a better example for me is in 2013 or 14, we were looking at, I was hired by Earl Wells to combat Terry Blackburn in the V8, and my wife looked at me. She says, "You're going to do what?" It was watching on TV, and they're like, "There's no way," and everybody says, "There's no way you can do it." Well, from that day forward, those V8s make more horsepower than we've made with our single 6-cylinders with no intercooler, and 600 cubic inch, not 650. And so at that point in time, if a super farm guy tells me that he needs another 15 horsepower to be competitive, well, I can tell him to kiss because it doesn't need it. Mm-hmm. Let's say I'm 500 horsepower short, but I can make that up in all the other little things that go along with it. And that's something that, we're trying to teach, but it's like, it's not receptive, to people. They're not receptive of that information. They just want to go to the dyno and buy the latest turbo and buy the latest pump. And you need that combination, but that's part of the reason we got out of the dyno business is because I didn't feel comfortable selling a number, knowing that they're not going to win. I would prefer to help them with their data and their weight placement, their gear selection, their tires, than to sell them another part to maybe or maybe not make them some more horsepower.
Yes. So you mentioned one of the things there just a minute ago, and maybe you could talk a little bit more about it, is the driveline components. Can you talk a little bit about more GMS's evolution into the driveline stuff?
Yeah. So, back Indy Super Bowl days, There was one particular year we went there, and almost side by side was the Color of Money of Wayne Kennedy and the Spike Truck of Bill Humphrey. All right. And at that time I was probably, 7 or 8 years old, and never in my life did I think I'd end up with both their companies, right? Let alone a vehicle that either one of them had built, and when we built the last Color of Money that Scott Holgrew has now, Bill Humphrey and I worked on that tractor together and learned a lot. Well, and I always told him, I said, at some point in time, you want to get out. I'm interested in learning your project, in your process. So to me, with us, with my mentality of not wanting to just seek out horsepower and sell horsepower all the time, I was looking for something else. And the gear cutting, the splining, all that stuff was just an art that I really was intrigued about. So went to Bill, we made a deal. He helped me out. And today we've kind of blended the two together to come up with a whole different program than we started out with.
So I guess that kind of leads into the next thing. Can you talk a little bit about GMS and what you guys do and how you can help pullers?
Sure. I mean, our focus is not only, we've always been an engine shop, right? So we years past, when I worked in Gene's basement at his house, we would buy and sell engine piston sleeves and do some block work and all that. We evolved into doing our own block work then, and bought more machinery as we went along, and then when I moved out of Gene's place in Kentucky back to home, I had quite a lot more square footage, and I bought more machinery and tried to do more of it in-house. From that point forward, we just kept buying machinery to do what things that we couldn't get done elsewhere. And we were building a lot of engines at the time and selling horsepower, and I got kind of tired of that. So we've moved towards supplying parts and supplies and components to people that other builders. Say one of our biggest customers is Chris Pickler at Mondovi Tractor. So Chris calls me we're on the phone every week, and he says, hey, I need these parts, and I supply him with the parts, and he finishes the build, and they handle the end user service and the dyno work and all that, and we can handle all the machine work. So we're trying to build some partners with people like Chris, and also with like Wipeout Enterprises. So where we handle all the manufacturing, all the machining and the engineering side, and they handle the other side, the customer service and the final work. Because we realize that we can't do it all effectively. And that's kind of where the Driveline side come in, because it's manufacturing based. So we can machine every single part for the Driveline there, minus the ring and pinion and the bearings, we can make in-house. So that just fit right into our machining side, rather than having spreading ourselves thin with dynos and fab shops and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to be a master of all trades. You can be a jack of all trades, but it's hard to master them all as well. And that's what helps. And quite honestly, especially with the supply that the issues that we've had over the last couple of years, that's nice to have for guys that are looking for parts, because they don't have to go through a couple different people. They can go directly to the manufacturer and some of this stuff.
Sure. I mean, and we still sell to the end user, there's no doubt.
Yes.
But sometimes, like with various people, like with Chris Pickler, for example, there's things that they can't handle, so we help them with that. And of course he deals with Riverside and with other people too, but we try to work on specific things to help them out.
Yep.
We also do billet differentials for Engler Machine and for Modern Machine, and for Full Pull Motorsports and whoever else that orders that kind of stuff. We try to supply them with parts. I sell planetaries and differentials to Terry Blackburn. So we try to help the other builders and support our product and get information back from them to make our products better. And something that I really never had when we were starting out and trying to build our own pulling tractor was support and information and all that. It was always secret. If you wanted to buy something, nobody would tell you anything about what you were getting. And we've tried to be exactly the opposite. I want them to know everything we've got, what we do, how we do it, and, be as open-minded, as an open book as we can.
So we've got another question here. Devin McLaren wants to know, do you sell Hemi stuff or just stuff for your 6 cylinders and stuff like that?
We are working on some Hemi things, like the picture you just saw there, the gear machine running. Those are Hemi flex plates we do for a drag racing company. We are getting into a fair amount of different components for drag racing as well. We got to square up and finalize a bunch of things with our 6-cylinder stuff now, so to speak, and clean that up. But with Jesse Petro, he works for me as well, and he's a Hemi guy. That is in our future planning, is to kind of start moving that direction. Maybe not so much engines and things like that, but for sure consultation and gear ratio things and data collection, that kind of thing for Hemi. So.
Yep. So one of the things that you mentioned before, there's your involvement with Earl Wells and John Strickland. They also run some was that Pro Mods, I believe, on the drag strip.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is there anything that you talked about your drag racing, starting to do some of those things? Are you learning things from that setup that you can kind of incorporate into your business?
Sure. The drag race clients we deal with now absolutely came from the Glock Motorsports drag racing team. So made some really good contacts there from Jeff Bohr at Bohr Racing Products to Mark Mickey and the transmission people down south and Proline. I mean, we do some things for Proline and other subsidiaries there. So absolutely, there's information that's definitely usable from the drag race side. Tune-up wise, never in a million years will I listen to a drag race guy for a tune-up. And I want to tell you, everybody in the Hemi world has tried it, is done the same way. It's a whole different answer. Mm-hmm. But where they do help is with procedures, with data collection, with testing. They get the opportunity to go out and test constantly instead of just going to the track and hoping for the best. They make multiple test runs. I've got, I know like Luis De Leon from Fuel Tech, that guy never races in competition, but he makes hundreds of passes in a car a year just to test. So they've got so much data to work off of. And that's kind of with us in the Glock Motorsports team is, you see the trackers go down the track at competition, maybe at 15, 20 times a year at the very most. We make at least that many runs a year on my own track behind our shop or at Mark Bingham's track or somewhere else, So, we're constantly making laps. And that's the kind of thing that I learned from the drag racing side. The most part is that the horsepower isn't always what gets you there. It's the consistency and the durability.
Speaking of Field Tech, you guys tried that out on one of your tractors, correct?
We did. The tractor that I drive, we ran with a complete Fuel Tech ignition and fuel system on. And we were very, very close to being perfect with it. It was very tunable. It made horsepower. It didn't make more horsepower than the other system, but it was safe. It seemed to be better with parts. It was better with, fuel consumption and a lot of things. The worst part about it is that it wouldn't, when you pulled the throttle at the end of the track, you weren't able to drive out of the hole. It was kind of like you couldn't really pull the fuel shutoff out to lean it up, like we do on other alcohol tractors to get to leave out, to drive off the track. It was just so loaded up that that was the worst thing, right? So they towed me off the track. Big deal. Would have loved to have kept that system on and kept working with it, but unfortunately, we've got some non-forward thinking people in the rulemaking committees on one side of the polling organization group. And
no,
we decided that it was, if we're going to run both, we got to take it off. So we just left it sit in the corner. So
Roos is like the guy in the corner without his camera on. All of a sudden you just hear a noise. Oh, he's still alive.
Can you guys not see my camera?
Correct.
No.
You've been dark.
The black screen.
Really?
Yeah.
You really? You were on earlier.
It happened right away. When you came on,
That's
you were
weird.
there, and then you were gone.
That's weird.
Yeah. Brent,
Crazy stuff.
Burkholz was saying, "Who's Chris Pickler?" They built his Light Pro. He was being a smart ass.
He is a smart
Imagine
ass.
that.
I'm just trying to catch up with some. There you are, Roos. Mike Whitney says 2 words ice cream. Mr. Payne, you have to tell us why Mike Whitney is saying 2 words ice cream. So.
Who knows that guy?
He said that during the mini rod discussion.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably because I eat too much of it.
Fair enough.
Mike and I go back a long ways. So,
do you have any good Mike Whitney stories that you can tell us just for fun?
nothing that you want to repeat on camera, no.
See, we've had Tony Reed from Growing Corn 2020 on TikTok on. So like when people say that, like we've heard it all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But if you don't want to hurt your friendship, that's another.
We've been a few places in the world. I'll put it that way.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, let's put it this way. The next guest that we're going to try and get is Mike Whitney, and we're going to ask him to dish on you. So, strike
He's a
now.
way better salesman than me. I think a guy could sell ice to an Eskimo. Or
Maybe
to
that's why he
one
said
of the
ice
two. Yeah.
How did it feel to break Fuel Tech's dyno?
I wasn't really that exciting, their dyno wasn't even near capable enough to hold that thing, but it did help us, get a good baseline to start with, and it raised a whole lot of attention on the internet. So
Yes, it did.
yeah, great
That's all you
people to
gotta
work
do.
with, though. Great people to work with.
Yeah, they made a great video for that.
If you're just joining us, obviously we're live with Brent Payne right now. Put your questions in. We got a lot of questions to go through and comments and different things like that. It's fun having technical guys on here like yourself, Brent, because Paul and Ryan and Brent can get all excited and ask you good questions and things like that. So it's always good. That's how we get Paul Romack to talk to people. So
Hey, one question we did have on here: what happened to the Super Farm tractor?
yeah,
It is in Earl's museum.
Oh, it is.
I don't think it's going to come back out again.
Gotcha.
It's Earl's got quite the extensive antique tractor collection, and it's just kind of tucked away in there, and he's happy to leave it right there.
Brent, are they all orange?
No, most of them are Oliver's.
I'm saying
He's
that
got,
Larry's Oliver guy.
yeah, he's got a lot of Oliver tractors, a lot of them, and some Molines. Some really, really nice stuff.
Now, can you talk a little bit about, some people know, of course, there are a lot of people in pulling know the Glock team, but a lot of people may not know who Earl Wells is. Can you talk a little bit about Earl and what he's done with you guys?
Well, I might have to tell some stories on him too. So, and he may listen, I don't know, but the first time Earl called me, I was at Gene's shop, and he was asking me why he couldn't find any freight company to insure an Alice Chalmers 426 block for $25,000. And I asked him if it was gold plated.
Bingo.
And he said no. I said, just put on R&L, it'll get it here. So anyway, we built him this engine, and he's calling. Never met the guy before. He brings it up himself. And I was getting up to go to church with my family on Sunday morning, and he's asleep with John in a pickup truck in my driveway. And I thought, man, I thought this guy had a few bucks. He's sleeping in the back seat of his pickup truck, and they got to load this piece of crap out of the back of it into mine, and on and on. And so fast forward a few months, and he's calling. He's like, hey, my hometown poll's coming up here, and I need that tractor down here to go run. I said, how did that work out for you than the last guy that built your engine? He says, well, we throw the rods out about every 3 runs. I said, okay. I said, well, you want to wait and get the best, or do you want to go pull them next week and come get it now and fix it yourself? And he said, I guess I'll wait. So, and that's kind of the beginning of a long relationship with Earl Wells. And it's been, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, probably, close to 18 years now. So.
Now, what was that motor out of?
The first Super Farm motor was a 426.
Mm-hmm.
And, those things were just not built to make 640 cubic inches. So later on, we switched it to the Series 40 Detroit, and that motor ran really well, and that's what's in the tractor now. But he just kind of had the hankering to go faster, so we just that's what we kind of stuck with the faster stuff.
Was that AC 220 sheet metal or 200 sheet metal?
210. Yep, 210.
210.
Mm-hmm.
So we got another question here from Moose's Tractor Pulling Videos. He says, why do the unlimited super stock guys seem to have their fuel systems working better than the light super guys? It seems the heavier class stays alive and idles better. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah. There's a few factors. And, I'm going to be pretty honest here. Most of the guys screw with them too much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big factor. We haven't really had fuel system trouble for a while, but again, that's a lot of data collection for years and years and years. One kind of key factor in the lights is that the load at the start line is a little bit lighter, so they don't have as much load behind them to get the fuel system and turbos going. 9 out of 10 of them probably got too big of turbos on them nowadays that they really got to whale them off the start line to get going. There's no drivability, so then they misfire and all that. Another factor is that the ignition systems of the mag, whether it be a mag or a points box or whatever, you got to have those things perfect. The spark plug wires have to be clean. You can't have any oil on the plug, porcelain. The gaps have to be right. There's so many details that a lot of people miss, and those are the main reasons why alcohol tractors misfire on the start line. It's not necessarily a fuel system issue all the time. It could be other little things, that cause that. It's a fair question though to think that the heavier ones do run better. If you look at the guys that are running the heavy class though, Terry Blackburn has been involved with it since the beginning, and Aaron Hall, the same thing, and myself and Neil Genninger. There's just a lot of guys that have been pulling that class. Jordan Lustig. Everybody has troubles, but you're right. They do seem to run smoother than the lights.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite tractor that you've ever built or campaigned in your career thus far?
Man, I don't know. That's a hard one. The very first one, the first component, Color of Money, was probably the one that, that's the first tractor we actually truly kind of put together and got running between ourselves and Gene Sharwood and a few other guys, so that one was fun. When I was in my early 20s, my dad would go a lot of places. I mean, the first summer we hooked that thing 75 times or so in Ohio State and ATPA and NTPA, and we just went everywhere. And then we wore it out and couldn't hook a whole lot the next year. So that tractor was a lot of fun, and we ran it until we built the tractor that's on the screen now with Bill Humphrey. That tractor was a great tractor too. Just didn't get enough time with it. But the first one ended up going to Europe and ended up as the Extreme Temptation, which was just sold, and it had good success for William DeVos as well for the last several years. So yeah, I'd say the first one was the favorite. This one was fun to build as well. And I just wish I would have had more time to drive it, but I had growing business and I had 3 kids that were 4 years and under at the same time. And it was the smart thing to do to sell the tractor and work on the business. So.
What was the sheet metal on that? Was it 70 something 10? It seems like it was.
The first one was a 7810. The second was a
okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where did Brent Payne's first tractor pulling win come from? What class?
1937 A. Alice Chalmers at the Darke County Fairgrounds, and probably 1994 or 5.
Nice.
That was on a powered tractor. Before that was pedal tractors.
Oh, yeah. We're looking for powered.
Yeah.
Tony Smerling has a question on here about the Unlimited Supers, both of those Galot tractors. Are they pretty much the same setup now, or is there some differences between the two other than the chassis being built at different times?
They're fairly similar. Different turbos on them is about the only thing. Difference is a little bit in tires and the chassis, but 9 times out of 10 they'll finish within feet of each other if the runs are the same. So, but they're pretty close to the same nowadays.
With a 2-tractor team, you need to be able to transmit as much data from one pass to the next.
That's correct. I mean, we they're enough different, but we know what each of them likes and what they, how they respond. So the data definitely correlates. So
Burkholz has got a good question. He's not always a smart ass. He says, what's a vehicle?
Yes, he is.
Well, that's true. What's a vehicle you've driven that we might not know?
In Europe in 2002, I got to drive Willem Veldhuizen's Bits and Pieces.
Really?
And that was pretty exciting then. So I've driven that tractor. And another one was the Mud Patrol in 2018. Actually, the first time I drove it, won the European Championship in the Pro Stock class. And those two there would probably be probably a tie, really. So.
Another one that I'm not sure of. So I'm looking at Dan Mayer's list of vehicles that you campaigned over the years, and in 2010 and 11, you drove a tractor. Is that MX 505 called the Player?
Yeah, a guy named Danny Ganniger used to run Pro Stock years ago. We built the tractor for him. It was a Joe Eater chassis. We built the motor for him. He ran it for a couple of years, and kind of just got it going for him, really. And ended up that tractor is now, the chassis itself is now the Pfeiffer's Pfeiffer Max tractor from Connorsville, Indiana.
Adam Wilson's got a question. So pulling here or in Europe, how do they compare?
It's getting closer and closer to being the same as far as on the track. The tracks are extremely well prepared. My wife and I just went to Alphen, the Netherlands, about a month ago, and the attention to detail they put in the track is unbelievable. The dirt's perfect. No rocks. They go pick them out. They go out there and walk with buckets and pick up the rocks in the track.
Wow.
So they spend a lot of time preparing that. There's still some things about their lightweight sleds and everybody gets a second chance kind of thing that I don't always agree with. Of course, they have politics and they're pulling just like we do here, but the crowds there are unbelievable. It is designed to be an entertaining event, and I like that aspect of tractor pulling. I think we miss a lot here. I enjoy pulling in Europe. I really do. We try to go at least once a year, and it's definitely a learning experience.
If there's one thing that the U.S. could learn as far as the show, you were talking about how they have big crowds and stuff. What's one thing that the U.S. organizations can incorporate to get better crowds?
You got to attract young people. You got to make it attractive for not only the people that are driving there themselves that are young, but also for kids that aren't bored to death sitting in a seat waiting on the next tractor to get on the track, or if you can't have a kid sitting there, then mom and dad aren't going to come and sit with them. So you gotta have something going on out there to keep the kids' attention. There's in Europe, there's music, there's lights, there's exciting announcers that jump up and down, and they play music when the pullers come on the track. It's just there's excitement and something going on all the time, and I think that there's times I've been to pulls out here that it's like you could almost hear crickets in between the tractors going, and it's painful to sit there and watch that, knowing there's another option. So I think that anybody that promotes a pull needs to go to Europe and watch how they do something there. I mean, and all the pulls are kind of modeling themselves after the model pull. And I've been to that one before. It's awesome. I mean, totally amazing. The Alphen pull is a really great pull for a smaller pull, but they've all modeled themselves after that deal. I mean, they take care of their sponsors. They take care of those people instead of just taking their money. There's just so many things that are exciting about European pulling to me. But I think if you're going to promote an event, that's where you go to see how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get back to your career. What's the toughest obstacle you've ever had to overcome, either on the track or in the shop? So personal or professional.
Oh man, dealing with unreasonable customers. There's sometimes, because I take it very personally, because my guys and I put every ounce of effort we can into what we do every day. And especially me, I take it personally if things don't work, and we will do whatever we can to make them better if it's in our control. You know, you can't always deal with supply chain issues or things like that. But we've dealt with so many people that don't give us the benefit of the doubt and won't return a part to see what failed and won't give us all the information, or they're constantly blaming you for failures that you can't control. That is the hardest thing for me, because, like I said, it hits me so personally. And there's times I've been like, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to deal with this? Over the years, I've learned just to not deal with those type of people. And I've been in business long enough now, I can choose to do that. It's way too short. My life's way too short to deal with people that are unappreciative and don't understand the hardships that we deal with, and I'm not picking on any one group, but our shop runs 5 days a week, 12 hours a day. And I'm there a lot of times on Saturday and sometimes on Sunday. Well, that's all year round. And then I'm at a pull on the weekend and trying to do what we can there. So it's not like we have a harvest season and a planting season and everything in between. It's kind of like, let's go have fun tractor pulling or go to Florida. It's that way all year round. And we kind of shove in here and there time away to do other things, but we put in 110% effort every day. And like I said, we're just going to work for who we want to work for from now on.
How amazing did it feel to fire your first customer? And I'm not asking for a name drop. I don't care.
That's great.
For your mental, what did that mean? What did that mean for you the first time you said, go elsewhere?
And the heart, like with Glock Motorsports, right? People say, well, they got a lot of money and they pay the, blah, blah, blah. You're going to deal with them and you don't really care about us. So that's not really true. If a guy pays his bill and he treats us with respect, we work for him as hard as we do with the guy that's got lots of money. And I've got customers that I've fired that have lots of money, but didn't value our time. They weren't respectful of hours or weekends or, the middle of the night. And this is my job. It's not my hobby alone. And we do need time away from the shop. So when we get rid of those kind of things, it's a relief. It's not just like you feel good about it, but it's a relief to get rid of that kind of burden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you used that was a good choice of words with the word burden.
And that's kind of why I've kind of gravitated more towards the manufacturing, because the machinery runs and it gets the parts done and we can do what we can do. When we were building tractors, there was times I was there 24 hours a day, and you get no sleep, and the customer's breathing down your neck, and you get to the pool and everything's kind of half done, and it seemed like it was fun, and then it wasn't fun. So I don't know, maybe things have changed because I'm older now, but we don't like that kind of pressure. When there's pressure behind you like that, nothing really ends up well.
Yeah. and it's nothing more. You're not trying to take shortcuts. You're trying to serve the customer, but sometimes things happen and it doesn't work very well when you're trying to do that. And you hit the nail right on the head when you said it's just not worth it. It's just not.
It's not. It's not. There's been people in my career that I thought, man, when I was a kid, I was like, I just want to work for that guy. If I can only get to there, that I'll have this notoriety of the shop. And to be honest with you, some of the bigger names have been the worst to work for. And just because they feel like they feel like they have more deservingness than I have to be there. So, and I've never, at one point in time, I guess I should say that, never. Early on in my career, I was doing it for the glory, right? I wanted the big name on the trophy, and I wanted to be the guy that supplied this and that to whoever. But, at the end of the day, I love the sport. I love my job, but I'm doing it to pay my bills. I'm doing it to feed my family and to build a life for us and for the families that work for me. I mean, I've got, 10 families that work for me. So, that's what it's for. It's for us. It's not for the customer per se to have them breathe down my neck and be at their beck and call. So, we've just changed our mindset in the last several years.
Good for you. There's a lot of guys who run shops that'll run themselves to death, and they never get to that point in their career, or they never grow the stones to do it. And it is a grow in the stones moment. I know it is, because I've been there. I've had to do it, and it's not fun to do, but you got to get there to that point where you can tell somebody, look, this just ain't going to work.
Right. I mean, and I've done this, this whole building of GMS and combining it to Humpco while, with a wife and trying to keep a relationship with my wife and raising 3 kids that were, basically within 4 years of each other. I bought GMS when the last one was born. And a baby, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and then worked them all the way up through this process. And now they're getting ready to graduate high school. One of them is. So they've sacrificed a lot for me to do this, but they've also been there with me all the long way and learned, the pulling family, and they've made friends and so I would never trade it for the world, but I'm not going to subject them to the negativity of it either.
Yep. We got another good question here. Colton Bartelt, most notable diesel super stock or pro stock you've driven? How about one of each?
Okay. I don't know that I've ever driven a diesel super stock, to be honest with you.
Somewhere out there in pulling land, we need to change this.
Yes.
We can fix that.
We need to change this.
No, I think I'd rather just put my head in the vise and crank the wheel around.
Well, no one
we said drive it. We didn't say work on it or
no one said you'd have to fix it if you screwed it up.
I know where your head's
at.
I mean, my experience with diesel super stock was with Neil and Bud Gettinger. I put a lot of hours in fixing things for that tractor, and probably me was what caused them to get rid of the thing anyway and go to alcohol. But from that point on, I had zero desire to have one of those things. Zero. And not that I don't like the class. I do. I just, it's just not for me. Same with pro stock. I mean, I've driven Mike Whitney's pro stock, a few times, and I drove Mike Connie's a couple times testing it. They don't do it for me. I'm sorry. I mean, they're cool. They sound neat, but I wouldn't trade the ride on the alcohol super stock, light or heavy, for any of them. Wow.
And now you know, folks.
To be honest, I have more fun driving Holtz Light Pro than I did the big pro stocks. I like the lighter weight. I feel it better. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Who's the toughest competitor you've ever faced on the track?
Terry Blackburn. That's easy.
Fair enough.
Terry is always. I've been pulling with Terry since 2000, and a quiet guy, doesn't say much. Y'all know him. And there come a time where we were given a pretty good. We were taking care of him pretty well regularly, And his wife was just, Colleen was kind of like, it seemed like she was just distraught, like they didn't know what to do. And I said, look, I've been watching him from behind for a long time, so I know where all his flaws are. But, he's not only a great competitor, but he's a great guy and a good friend as well. So.
What's the single biggest innovation that we've seen over the past decade in the sport?
Detrimental innovation, or the dyno probably is the worst thing that ever happened.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's just it's caused an exorbitant amount of money to be spent for very little gain. My opinion, but there again, on the other hand, it does make it so you can be more durable and competitive, I guess. The turbocharger technology is probably, it has gained more than anything. When we started working on super farm tractors, they were 900 to 1,000 horsepower. Now they're 1,700 with basically the same rule set. Not much has changed from the valve cover to the oil pan, but you keep bolting on a turbo and turn the fuel up a little more water, and that thing will just keep climbing. So I'd say turbochargers are the biggest gain.
Hey, before we ask you the next one, you should read what Schlaubaugh just wrote.
I didn't even think he'd want to get caught dead with something with spark plugs on it. So
I think Travis is starting to. He wants a 4-engine mod. When he answers Ryan's question, is that what he said? He wants a big mod, or he would if he could trade it?
That's way less work than a diesel super stock. It sure is.
What's the biggest win of your career? What was the most notable, the most special to you?
Oh man.
Jason may have told you that it was going to be softballs. I didn't.
Yeah, that European Championship deal on the Mud Patrol in 2018 was pretty special. I mean, for stepping on the tractor the first time and beating the shit out of the Rocky team, that was awesome to me because nobody was expecting that, and that was pretty cool. The Bowling Green ring is probably the most special Galot win I've ever had, absolutely, because I'd been going to Bowling Green since my dad carried me in there, and never in my life did I think we'd get to do that, and John's got 3 of them rings, and that one that I got was just that much more special to me because we did it. But I mean, and we're a team, right? We do it all together, but it just happened to work out where I got it at that time. So won every kind of big event that there is, from Louisville to Bowling Green to wherever. I mean, it's all, it's just all special to me.
What's your favorite place to pull that's not Bowling Green, Toma, or Louisville? You got a favorite track here?
I used to like Fort Recovery because it was close and nice. I used to go to a kid, but I always do terrible there. So, I can't say. We don't get to go to a whole lot of different places, or those tracks are always fun to go to. Rockwell was really neat. I enjoyed Rockwell.
That was a good answer.
I enjoyed that one. Years ago, we used to go to a place called Inwood, Ontario. That was a fun place to pull at, and St. Hyacinthe, Quebec, Canada. Just different atmospheres. I enjoy the different atmospheres of pulling, and it doesn't. I don't really have a favorite. I just want to see something different. And the same old stale every year, the same show, just is boring to me. So.
This is probably where Russell Dostal is writing a comment inviting you to come to Wisner next year, or Rock Valley, or any of the big outlaw shows.
I guarantee he is.
And if not, Russell, you're killing me.
I'd love to try to come there one day.
Hey, Brent,
I'm not going to lie. We'd love to have you out here. It'd be fun.
Well, and we talked to Rockwell, Brent. You talked about the 2-day shows, and I get it. I totally understand that. From a running standpoint, it's nice to go there and do that. Hey, that St. Hyacinthe and that Inwood, those were big NTPA Grand Nationals, right?
That's right. Yeah.
How long ago did those kind of go away, Brent? I'm trying to find some video. This is great having you on because all the guys are asking questions, and I can go hunting and pecking for video. I love it.
We haven't
Jason,
pulled in
go to
St. Hyacinth for
Charles's
quite a
page.
few years. They still pull there. NTPA's not gone there for several years because of the getting over the Canadian border is kind of a pain in the ass.
Okay.
Inwood,
Charles
it's
has
been
it.
since probably 2002, maybe, since they've had a pull there.
Yeah, Charles
It's been
has
a hot
some stuff
minute.
on his
Yeah.
page. I found some.
What's the most rewarding part of the sport for you? Is it the competition? Is it the building? Is it the friendships? Is it the rings and the wins? What is it?
Oh, I mean, with Bill, we've built some great friendships with people all over the world with tractor pulling. So that's we wouldn't have the life we have now without it. We've got.
I will 100% agree with you.
We've got, friends from coast to coast in the States and European. I mean, I never in my life would have thought I'd been in Europe, traveling around and being able to visit people just as I would here in Ohio or Indiana. So, but I can travel in Holland and drive in the car and go kind of wherever I want and go see the Bobcat team, and then drive down the street and see the Lombada team and Willem Veldhuizen and the Mud Patrol guys and whoever else. I mean, I never thought I would have that, but the friendships are absolutely the most important thing.
Mike Whitney's watching, and speaking of friends, Mike, tell us what you love about Brent Payne. Throw that in the comments for me, and I'll put that up on the screen. So, here comes the cookies for Bennett. It's Bennett Fawcett, right? I always say that. I always want to say Bennett Fawcett, but because that's kind of French.
Like I said, you can call him whatever you want.
I finally got to meet him at Rockwell this year. So, but so I've seen cookie references and ice cream references now, Payne. I don't quite understand. So.
I guess I'm out there. I have to refresh my memory on them. I'm getting old and I can't remember all those things.
Mike Whitney says his radio face. Okay, there's a lot of.
What a dick.
What a dick.
There's friends like him who needs enemies, right?
That's right.
Well, Whitney, we are coming for you. We are going to get you on the show, and Brent will be in the audience, so you can expect a little bit of give and take there. So I do have one question. Where did the color of money come from? Obviously, I know the stupid answer, but there was a lot of pearl in that green, wasn't there?
You mean the color itself, or where the name?
Yeah, the actual color itself, because that was a signature thing. I mean, my cousin Eric, who lives up in West Michigan and doesn't get to a lot of polls, you ask him what color the color of money is, he knows your name immediately. And he remembers that first tractor.
Well, it was.
He actually gave a speech on it, believe it or not, in college. I will put my hand on a Bible. He absolutely did.
That color. So the first color of money, which was Wayne Kennedy's. We became friends with Wayne Kennedy. His was actually still John Deere green, right? So, my dad is colorblind, and John Deere green paint looks like primer to him. So we had to pick a color. We had to pick a color that he could see. That's hence why there's, that one has all those different colors. The green is actually an emerald green from GMC.
Is that right?
Yeah, like a mid 90s or something. Yeah, GMC color.
And no pearl mixed into it.
No, that one just a metallic. Yeah,
It's got a little metallic in it.
We had that one's probably the worst paint job we had because I'd blowed the hood off of it so many times. Couldn't afford paint anymore, so we had to paint it ourselves.
Well, that's one of the questions that we had on here was your biggest fire or explosion that you've been in.
Oh gosh, man, I burnt my lungs one time from. I'll never forget that, but. We burned pistons and throwed rods out and torched cylinder heads, and it all blends together. It's just part of making horsepower, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Tractors are good at finding the next weak point.
They do. We tried to get better at not doing that, so we don't have to work quite as hard. So
yeah. So what's next for Brent Payne? You talked a little bit about potential new tractor coming to the stable. What about GMS? What's coming next for you guys?
Well, if there was 7 work days in a week, which there kind of sometimes are, we could use an 8th and 9th or whatever. So trying to optimize our work time for the families that work for me, because a lot of them do drive, some of them an hour away. So we've cut back to a 4-day week, 10 hours a day. And then some of them do come in and work some overtime on Friday. I'm still there working. I don't want to live my whole entire life. But I'm trying to get the business set up where it can operate and things move smoothly. So we've got a new in-house designer, engineer kind of guy that does our drawing. He does our drawing packages and make it more professional. Trying to get the business to run without my head, so to speak. I'm dabbling in a few other things. I've got some excavating equipment. I kind of do some clearing. I've got a partner. We do some mini storage places. So I'm kind of working on some of those things and some rental properties and stuff. I want to get so where I've got enough separation in my business life that I can still make pulling my number one hobby and priority as far as a hobby goes. So I got to a point where I despised it, and then I've kind of started working my way back in to appreciate it and to love it again. So I had to do the separation to get that to happen. So
we had a good question from somebody. From a competitor standpoint, do you like pull-offs or floating finishes better? And then the second part to that question is, as an engine builder, from that standpoint, is it harder on the engine to go make 2 passes at 320 feet, assuming you're in a pull-off, or just a single pass at 370 feet?
I love pull-offs because there is no survival of the fittest anymore in pulling. And the PPL schedule, for example, is absolutely not conducive to survival of the fittest. You can run one time, you get one shot, you go away for a day or two, and you come back and you do it again, one shot. There's none of that. So there's some tractors that will run really hard one time, not be able to even think about coming back for the pull-off, and they end up winning. Well, that's not exciting to me. I want to do it over and over again. I want to go out there and be able to prove that I can run tonight, tomorrow night, and the next night with minimal maintenance and still get to the end of the season. So I love the pull-off. I understand it's expensive. What part of pulling is not expensive? And you learn a lot about a pull-off that's different. Like at Bowling Green, pull-off Bowling Green is the best thing in the world to me. You never in your life think that Vaughn Bauer would go out there and lighten the sled up for the pull-off, so it tricks you a little bit and thinking, how do I do this? What do I do next to get better from the first run? Or is my stuff good enough to make it 2 runs and outlast the other guy? And so I enjoy that. As far as a 370 versus a 300-foot pass, I don't know that there's much difference. The fuel tanks aren't really big enough to go any further than that. It is hard on it. If it's dragging a long ways, then yeah, it's hard on it to run that far. But if it's a quick run, then it doesn't, if it's 10 or 11 seconds, it really doesn't matter.
So the damage or the expense is really measured more in elapsed time than it is distance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Travis, you've never taken that advice a day in your life.
Turn the boost down causes less motor work.
Come on.
Thanks, Travis.
He would actually know that, though.
Didn't he make it the whole season without tearing the motor apart? Didn't I hear that somewhere? Yeah, that's pretty. That's like that was the first time ever for a diesel.
Yeah, when we had him on, didn't he say there was a point, guys, where he was like every time he was just like, "Don't blow," trying to, because the diesel supers. I think he said, and he can jump in the comments. There's like two chances for them to tear them down, Brent, throughout the season. Where they have enough time, and they try to do that from there. So it's all good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess that's
why do we have so many? Why do we have so many classes? Why do we have so many different rules? Is it we did a pro stock power ranking last week with Charles, and then Paul and I did a not I just hosted it. Paul did the talking a 5.0 pro stock or outlaw pro stock versus a big pro stock. And I made some comments on there that, wow, maybe Doug Roberts was the one who had this figured out and, put these limits on these classes early on. And my phone literally blew up for 48 hours from people that said, no. It's pulling and again, I'm not bus chucking anybody, but they said pulling associations do that to keep their pullers in because that's their form of income. And I thought, because I love national rules, Brent. I love the 401 class because I can go pull anywhere. If there was a 401. Do you truly believe a pulling? And I don't know if we want to get into this with Brent, but this was, do you guys truly believe a pulling association would do that to keep their members? I mean,
to generate classes, to generate income?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So it's, I am a naive.
I don't know about the Outlaws because I don't deal with them a whole lot. I mean, but I can guarantee you that the PPL and NTPA are now, and I know they're going to hate me for this, they are membership generating machines. That's it, right? They have to keep growing their business and membership and sanctioning fee dollars. That's how they run their business. So regardless of whether the show goes on or is it successful or not, that's how they make their money. It's the simple fact, right? It's not a negative thing. It's just the way it is.
So that's why we see so many single turbo classes, Brent, in your opinion, then?
No, I think the part of that is that that all started because if a guy can't hack it in a pro stock, he thinks I want to build a super farm. If I can't hack it in a super farm, I need to build a limited pro. If I can't hack it in a limited pro, I want to build a light pro. And so they generate, a lot of those classes got generated from guys that couldn't hack it in another class. A light pro come from a lot of super stock guys. And not say hack it, maybe it's a budget thing. But, there's this constant stepping down out of a class. And now some of it's good because it does, there's a lot of demand out there for certain classes. I think there's too many classes now. There's some classes that are better than others. From a budget standpoint, the 5-10 hot farm class is probably the best class, in my opinion, to get started in pulling with. Not a cheap class, but it's not a hard thing to build for with big cubic inch and billet cranks and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I mean, there's two factors in it. The factor that there's a lot of egos in tractor pulling, and they think they can just jump to a class that if they can build and start the rules, they can win. And then the other side is the membership and the sanctioning body thing. So.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I mean, Doug Roberts doesn't own the Outlaws anymore, Brent. He owned it years ago. But he was always getting hammered on pull off and all these stuff for having all these. He really made the Outlaws like this. Like nobody, you couldn't go pull with them and they couldn't really leave. And and so I've had people say, oh, that was great. And then the one thing that really stuck with them was the 5.0 Pro. That's what some of the guys want us to call it, Paul. Not the 5-inch, the 5.0 Pro. And I'm just trying to keep up with the psyche of it, and having somebody like Brent, who, even though he's still young, he's seen more and done more than we'll ever dream of doing in the sport of truck and tractor pulling. And I just want to hear that. I don't know. When we did that show, Paul, I literally had 17 phone calls from 17 different people, from people I never thought would call me. I'm like, oh no, this is this and this is that. And I remember 1996, and I'm like, oh my God. And I was shocked at the amount of, and I started thinking about it. It's been turning in my brain all weekend long. And I couldn't wait to get on with you guys here tonight to knock that out. But I started thinking about it. I live in a town of 5,000 people. There's 17 churches in my town, and they all believe in God. And it's because one guy wanted to do a little bit different thing. And I kind of started thinking about pulling, and that's the same thing. One guy wants a 1/2 inch on the turbo or this, and then they build these little islands, and then we wonder why the sport doesn't grow.
Well, just think about it from that side, but also from my side. For your class, for example, for limited pro, the customers get aggravated with us because we don't have enough parts on the shelf. Well, for an IH limited pro, there's an infinite amount of combinations. For a 640 IH limited pro, there's multiple cylinder heads, there's multiple crank strokes and rod lengths and deck plate, no deck plate, and Jesus. Well, how am I supposed to stock all that stuff? And then that's just the international, right? Then you got the John Deeres and Molines and cases and what blah blah. And then you got classes that are 510, some are 525, some are 531, some are 504 and 470 and 43. You know, my God, you can't do it all. So, yeah, it is definitely aggravating from our side to keep seeing more classes go out, to keep building more classes. But on the other hand, you don't want to go to a place where there's 52 super farm tractors either.
Yep. No, and I was the biggest proponent of trying to get our class on the Grand National. And now that it's not on, I'm glad it didn't make it, because I'm my biggest own critic on that. I know Yarn just looked up, but it's not meant. I want Grand National and Champions Tour and Big Outlaw Super Nationals to be the highest level of every class. Pro stocks, diesel supers, unlimited supers, big mods, big four-wheelers, big two-wheelers, and that's it. And because the fan, I think it's so watered down across a poll. You know, I mean, you say, oh, it's a national poll, and there's only one or two national classes. And I get it from a marketing standpoint, but to see the best of the best, and that's where the Bowling Greens, you know,
well,
that's what's cool about it. So
I think pulling in I guess I see it here in Ohio is oversaturated. And, you know, within it, and I don't go, but, you know, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, any given night in July and August, you can go to a tractor pull, a state pull or a Region 2 or something like that. Well, you know, then there's Fort Recovery, then there's Bowling Green, then there's Canfield, and my goodness, there's a large pull, really close proximity there. And if you don't have a separation, you're not going to draw that audience to see the bigger, better stuff. And, you know, why would they go if they can see it 3 nights a week down the road, right? So
Brent, you mentioned earlier, we were kind of talking about Europe versus here. Do you think that might be a little bit of the draw in Europe because maybe they don't have as many big pulls like that?
There's not as many pulls. European pulling is a little different. Like it's more about a party than it is about a tractor pull. And I think that what we discussed this today, I was actually on the phone with Bill Humphrey today for about an hour, and he was just kind of catching up on some things. And he said, well, I've been sitting back watching from afar rather than being in the middle of all the pulling stuff and seeing what's happening. And you know, we said, if you go to a tractor pull, no matter where you're at, if you're at Bowling Green or if you're in you know, Hamilton, Ohio, 10% of the people sitting in the stands are actually pulling fans. The other 90% are there to be entertained. And so if you can tap into that, you hit something. They don't necessarily care what's under the hood or who the driver is and all that. They want to see the excitement of it, and they're happy to see it. But the Europeans have hit, you know, they sell beer at every event, whether you drink or you don't. They sell lots of beer. They sell it cheap. They have a party at the end of the night. And that draws so many people to that deal. It's just a stark difference to the way it is here, you know, but they realize it is strictly to entertain people.
No, you're spot on. And I've seen it. We see it in the videos. I mean, hell, they have freaking DJs and discos going till 4 or 5 in the morning. Some of that stuff. So
I'd never partake in any of that stuff.
No, we know. We know.
No.
Rob Trowbridge said you're supposed to build more shelves, Payne.
Yeah.
Colton Bartelt, your most popular product at GMS that you sell the most of?
Good question, Colt.
Man, billet differentials now. Golly, I mean, we sell billet differentials, which is almost the same exact product internally. We sell them to just about every unlimited modified, 4-engine modified, you know, some 2-wheel drives and pro stocks and super stocks and light supers and, you know, blah, blah, blah. We even retrofit them for 40-10, 40-20 John Deeres and for internationals. And so, yeah, I mean, that is the most popular product
right
that we have now.
Got it.
Because those billet differentials are really good about breaking right there where that bearing attaches on the original stuff, not on the billet.
That's correct.
The original, the cast ones, and they'll still run like that. They just pull hard one way.
Right. That, and then the factory ones have, like backside, and modify them by putting a bronze washer, in there, and kind of a better cross and all that stuff. But there is nothing anymore that can really sustain that without having something good quality in there for a rear end.
Very true. Very true.
Then the same guts. I mean, Chuck Knapp's Unlimited modified tractor, the same spider gear cross assembly is what we put in, Unlimited Pro IH. So, that's the quality of that. So,
yep, they're very, very stout carriers.
So that's probably the most popular thing. I mean, we do a lot of Mercedes Planetaries for the light super stocks. We do, piston and sleeve kits is the most popular engine stuff. We do some aftermarket castings with Wipeout, a couple different types of cylinder heads we do there. But we're doing, a fair amount of, like we call private label stuff that other shops will have us do for them. I can't really talk about.
I know that when I used to make butter for my family's butter company, Brent, there was I could take you guys into a grocery store. There'd be 60 different brands of butter, and it's made by 3 different people. So I understand private label.
That's right.
Go read that.
Yeah, and we do struggle with our advertising. Hence is why I've hired the best in the business here to help me with my lack thereof advertising.
We're gonna make you famous, Brent Payne, one way or the other. So
yeah, hopefully. But there's a lot of people that still don't know that I bought Humco almost 5 years ago.
It's been a while.
They're still calling Bill Humphrey and for help, and he's like, "Nah, I'm done. Call Brent." So,
all that Brent
but I still talk to him for advice. Like I said, I talked to him today, and so we need to get that out there to kind of combat. There's a fair amount of copycatting out there in the world, and we need to combat that for sure. We got too much time and effort and money into these projects to have it stolen. The Chinese aren't the only ones stealing things. So sometimes there's a guy in his backyard with a CNC mill that's got all the answers. So.
Yep. All right. Is it time for Roost's question?
Yes,
I think we might have already answered this.
So you did who you're scared of, right? You did that already. Who you respect the most, right?
Yep.
Most feared. Because we're adding that to our arsenal. And he said Terry Blackburn. He didn't even blink. So.
No.
All right, man. So if you're stealing the keys and you don't have to pay the bill, what are you taking the keys to go pulling? Where are you pulling it, and why?
Oh man,
past or present?
Yeah, past or present. We'll add that to make your ears smoke a little more.
Vehicle. Past, I'm going to say Steve Jaski's Meisterbrow.
Wow.
Pulling in.
That's awesome.
And
didn't see that one coming.
Something like that.
Nor did I. Good for you, sir.
Present, I'd like to drive Adam Bauer's tractor one time to see if I can get it to the end without something falling off of it. Not picking on Adam, but he, that thing's awesome. The tractor really runs hard, but they work on it a lot.
Very true.
Would you do it if push came to shove?
If somebody offered me?
If I can convince Adam to do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Better bring your fire suit.
I'm trying to find some old pictures of Meisterbrow. They're all I'm finding is eBay replicas that you could buy kits and stuff. Is that 3 Chevys stacked?
The Aries.
Aries, okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited, Brent. We're gonna come out and get some video with you. I really want to go into multi-turbo setups and how this works and how that works. A lot of how things work series. I'm excited about that at GMS. So thank you.
And let me just preface that statement from Jason to tell you that he really doesn't know shit about motors. So the more you can dumb it down, the better off he'll be.
I have no, I don't. I don't think I've ever shied away from it though, have I? I've always owned it.
No.
Well, I think that's kind of been, ever since I was young, asking questions. I mean, I remember seeing, and I guess I'll use his name because it's kind of a guy that I was trying to look up to, but I watched Brent Long take the photo out of the film out of somebody's camera for taking a picture to pull one time.
Yep.
To cover your stuff up and not let anybody see it, it's asinine, because if you're smart enough to take a picture of something and copy it and make it perfectly better than what I've got, you're way smarter than I am. So we go to Louisville, we put the hoods up, everybody comes around, It's funny, like Adam Spiegelberg, he's at our tractor all the time, walking around, looking at stuff, asking questions. I've never seen under the hood of his tractor. He's not allowed to have it up. So, and it's just, I don't know. It's just different about the way we approach it. We keep it clean and simple, and the devil's in the details, and I like to show that off. So, just a different philosophy we have.
Are your kids into pulling? Do they dig it, Brent, like you do?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we started. I bought them a garden tractor a couple of years ago, and now they have 6. And
Wow.
they're trying to.
Can you imagine? We should get like Lustig's kids and Payne's kids and have that would be badass. Blackburn's grandkids and have a full.
It's something else. I know absolutely help them with the procedures, right? So they're doing really well. They build their own engines. They do their own service work. All I do is transport them back and forth. They've even paid their own bills. So, they're learning a whole lot about the sport. They have a goal to sell all those things and build a limited light super here in the next couple of years. So we'll see how that all goes.
You ever build one of those before?
Yeah, we built a few of those things, and engine wise, yeah.
You weren't kidding. Your seat time is very limited.
This is from 2019 off your Facebook page, Brent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure where this is.
That's in Goshen, Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someday I'm going to stand in front of one of them winter circles. They're going to talk to me on the TV too.
You'll get there. Don't worry.
You can do it, Jason.
Yep.
You can do it.
Yeah, you'll get
So
there.
Brent, tip your hand just a tiny little bit. Will it be wearing AC sheet metal or deer sheet metal? The one that you're kind of working on inside.
No, it'll have Galot colors on it. Yeah.
Nice.
Old school, new school.
I don't know yet. We're still debating, but yeah.
Alice did have things that were green at one point in time. You could get away with that color of money green.
They could. That was really close to that color, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It actually is real close to it. Mm-hmm. And that looked really, really good on a 210 or 220 or a D21.
Yeah. But it depends on how serious Earl Wells is about wanting to acquire this new light tractor. So if we get to the point where we got to put a hood on it, it's going to be his decision if that's the way it goes.
Right.
So.
Right.
What's one thing that people don't know about Brent Payne?
Man. Probably a lot of things, but.
Yeah, nothing that'll put you in jail or anything. Like
adult beverage of choice.
Yeah, there we go. Let's do that.
Pretty much any bourbon that's over, $50 a bottle.
All right, so we're just gonna leave the chat now.
Brent, you guys can see your.
Bruce, where'd your face go? Here, I'll give you
Right.
1 minute alone with Brent Payne to talk about bourbon.
What's the best thing you've had recently? And I will tell you, in this cup, old granddad bottled and bonded.
Well, I had to psych myself up with some Angels Envy before I got on camera. So,
attaboy. I'm glad you mentioned that. God willing, and the creek don't rise. If you get back out here to Rockwell, I'll make sure that I bring something tasty along to pour.
Sounds
you
good.
You and me and Charles will have a good. Well, last time I drank bourbon with Charles at Rockwell, it was I think it was Eagle Rare.
Yeah, so that's a good one too.
But no, bourbon that's definitely my jam.
Sorry, Brent. As soon as you said bourbon, I knew we were out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I knew we were outclassed. So Brent, moving forward with GMS, what do you want people to know about you and GMS?
That we go through every day with the intent to produce the highest quality possible. Sometimes we fail. We often fail, but we always strive to do better. We continue to innovate and improve, whether it be in material or tooling or procedures or whatever, and try to keep the price at a reasonable level. We are going to slim down on some of our product offerings and the attempt to keep more of the most demanded things on the shelf. So, and we also, like if you kind of look at our new website there, you pulled it up there. I really, really, really want to do some more consulting things where we offer our expertise in what we've learned in pulling to people that have a day job, that want to go pulling and be successful, that, work on drive a dump truck or own a heating and air company or farm or whatever that might be, that it isn't an expert in that's an expert in their field, but they want to become better at what they don't know about. And I want to help them with that. So, moving forward, again, that's the lack thereof providing horsepower and providing more knowledge is what.
Did we lose Brent?
No, he's still there, I think.
Okay. Did we lose his internet maybe?
Could
Things
be.
were
I don't
going,
know.
things were going good. He's kind of froze right now. He's turned sideways and he's frozen.
His phone fall over? I don't know. Well, while we're waiting on Brent to join back up, one thing that he brought up that is very, very important, doesn't matter if you're working with Brent or you're working with anyone else. If you have a part that fails on your tractor, doesn't matter where you got it, call whoever you got it from and ask them if they want to see it, because Brent can learn so much. Him and his guys can learn a lot if it's their part, or if it's somebody else's part and you want them to take a look at it and say, hey, this part failed. Can you do something better? Take them the broken part. They can look at it. They can see if there's anything that they can do to improve it. And that's when he was talking about that consulting thing. There's a need for stuff like that. And it's just like he said, you make parts. Pulling is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if they can help you find that part, or any builder for that, if you have your builder, get them those broken parts. They can learn a lot from looking at those. You've
learned it, right?
Yep.
They're absolutely invaluable to your business.
It's amazing what you can learn, and there's stuff that you think that will be no big deal that will kick your ass, and you just keep going back and forth at it.
Is Payne back?
Yeah, I caught all that, but I guess one thing I want to add is that one of the most frustrating things about being in the seat we're at is I get out of bed at 5:30 every morning, go to work. I'm there at 6:30. I do it for 12 hours a day. And I still get constant questions of why you do it that way, from somebody that owns no machinery. And, we do it that way because we have lots and lots of data and experience to tell us to do it a certain way. And so, we make the best decision we know how. It may not be the best decision from here on forward, but we make the best one we know for the time and the information we have at hand. So, if you don't trust our work, don't call. Plain and simple. If you look at the research and do your research and all that, and don't just, buy because so-and-so said it was the best, your competitor is not always going to tell you the best answer. Do your research and ask questions. Call and ask me. I'll tell you if it's right for you or not. I've told people to call somebody else many times because we don't have the right fit for them. So, but hopefully we can help as many people as we can.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Brent, this has been awesome. Thank you for your transparency and honesty. We need more of that in the sport, and you've earned it. And it's pretty cool to hear you talk. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to help.
We're here to have some fun. So, do you guys have anything else for Brent, or should we let him on with his merry way?
It's 10:30. He's got to get up and go to work in the morning.
True. He's probably still at the shop. He's probably sitting in front of a
No. I'm pretty well by 7 o'clock. I'm done with that. So, yeah, 12 hours is more than enough. So
True story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Brent Payne, on behalf of all of us, the whole pulling world, thank you for all the fun rides, the competition, the honesty, everything. And obviously, we want this to continue. I'm not killing you off tonight or anything like that, but everything from now or from the past until now, thank you. It's always a joy watching you drive and see the Glock tractors. I don't remember the color of money that well. A little bit I do, early 2000s from Toma and stuff like that. But I did the Glock tractors and what you do, and a lot of your parts are in the Remedy. And thank you very much. So,
yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate all you do for us.
We're trying. It makes it easy when
Looking
we have
forward to
awesome
more.
guests.
So
It's easy when we have awesome guests like you on the show. So you have a great night.
yeah, you guys as well.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Take it easy.
Thanks, Brent.
I did the right thing, didn't I? By silencing Brent and myself and Paul, right? When he talked about bourbon.
Well, so he was talking earlier about that whole super stock diesel versus unlimited and how he wouldn't want to drive the diesel super.
Yeah.
And he said bourbon. I'm like, there you go. There's your answer. He don't burn. He don't like to burn. Well, I say he likes to burn it and drink it. Diesel guys just like to drink it.
Yep. No, there's something to that. That was an amazing interview, guys. That was fun. Well done. Thank you, Paul and Ryan and Brent, for the questions, because I like to go searching for old videos and pictures and stuff like that. Especially you guys like to get all nerded out with good technical questions. So, but yeah, I mean, Wyatt Schulte says awesome interview. Thanks, Brent. Shane Hunt says thanks, Brent.
It's
Jason
just like you were saying. Brent and guys like Brent in the biz, as they say, he doesn't have to be as transparent as he was. And be all upfront and honest with the viewers. We asked him before the show started, said, "Is there anything that's off limits?" And he said, "Absolutely not." You asked him,
"Are you sure?"
Yep. And we said, "Are you sure about that?" And he was totally cool with it. And he said, "Now I might not give you an answer, but he said I will not talk about something."
Yep. And that's how he is too. You catch him in the pits at one of the polls that he's at, and he'll be the same way. Got to talk to him a couple times this summer, and he was open and transparent about anything you asked him. So that's some of the questions I had asked, I already knew the answers to, but a lot of people may have not known. So
yeah, and there's some top-notch shit that comes out of his shop.
Yep.
Well, damn! Now I wish I had asked the question number 12 that I hadn't written down, but I had it in my head. There was and he referenced it. He said Ryan seems to catch me in these horrible moments, and I did. I caught him in 2019 or 2018 at the farm show, where he made kind of half-ass pass. He got real high up in the front, and he slammed the tractor down. And as he's coming off the track, he had the weirdest grin on his face, and I happened to catch it, and I posted it. You can go look for the photo; it's there.
I'm looking right now. What year?
It's either 18 or 19. I can't remember. Just go to Brent Payne's. Go to his Facebook page.
Okay.
And then go to look at the photos of Brent. You'll see one from the farm show where he's got this kind of funny grin on his face. And then read the comments. It's because I really wanted to ask him, because he said, I may have learned a few things that pass, and then he just went quiet. He didn't say 2 words. I've always wanted to know what he learned.
I'm a hunting. Well, it's funny because we just expect these guys to be perfect every single night. Well, we do. I do. There's certain competitors, certain names that I expect it just to be out there, top 3 or win every night. And he's one of those names, when they get on the tractor. And when they don't, we don't know if they were trying something, like you said, Ryan. So
yep.
Okay, I found a bunch of your Louisville photos. I haven't found a picture of him smiling yet. Look on his face.
You'll know it when you see it.
La 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 la.
That might have actually been the first interaction I ever had with Brent.
Well, this show just got great.
Sorry. Okay, I'm getting close. Oh,
Photographer problems. We post a lot of stuff.
relax. I got it. You guys are being dicks. Well, that's normal, but you're being.
We're good at it.
Share screen. Bingo.
There we go.
He was watching in the green room for a little bit, but he's gone now. Otherwise, I'd bring him back on. So
No, the comments. Yeah, that was the pass. The comments in that next photo where he's smiling.
Yep.
Those are kind of crap. Maybe it's the other photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Brent Payne, laugh out loud. My original unrealistic dream was to become a professional tractor puller. I have never been so excited to crash in my life. Newly found power over exceeded our setup expectations. Thanks for the pick. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, that hurt even up in the stands. Thanks for the show. Yeah, this is fun. Cleared for takeoff. Yeah, but that's what that smile is like. This had more ponies than we thought.
Now go back, flip forward a couple there. That's cool. How many of you who are watching knew that Alice Chalmers used to be Hunter Green?
Not I.
And that color is very close to the color of money.
Kevin James, I have a picture of a tractor that Brent picked to drive, but don't know how to post it in the live comments. Maybe it's not possible. Message it to me on the Facebook, Kevin, and Messenger, to Jason Schultz, or to Brent, or to Paul, or to Roos. So, axe throwing. I feel like I just talked about that with somebody tonight. Good stuff.
I want to do that.
It's fun. It's a blast. Okay, so I want to talk about me and mine. This thing. So last week, Charles did the power rankings. We had a blast. Mini rods are up next. Wyatt Schulte has that queued up. I got to get Tyler Slaw nailed down and Charles nailed down to do that mini rod show. And Brent, you wanted help with the minis, right?
Yeah, maybe. If I'm available.
It depends if I'm doing a upload that night or whatever. So then Paul and I did the pro stock thing. Guys, the pro stock guys want to be 5.0, okay? Not 5-inch, 5.0. So we got to brand that for them. I've been asked to do that. So a lot of people called me and said, and they just did it, Bus Chuck Doug Roberts. But they said, you guys, Jason, you're naive. You're completely naive. They're doing this to keep the church and the their members in the congregation, because that's their profit center. That's really bugging me. It's really, really, really bugging me. It really is. And I don't know why. Maybe I guess I think about it. It makes sense, because when you look at revenue streams for pulling associations, memberships is the big thing. And that's always the big joke with the NTPA. And I'm not hammering on them because they didn't put Grand National 4-1s in. I'm not mad. I'm not sad. I'm not glad. I'm not blue, whatever. All I'm saying is that's always, and even Randall said that with us that night. Remember on the show, he's like, everybody accuses us of just adding a class because we're just trying to get more membership. But that's where the difference is, guys. Grand National Pulling or Champions Tour or Outlaw Super National, where the classes fit. Or do you have your state level associations that have different rules? A lot of guys don't want to go pull it somewhere else. They want to stay in their own sandbox. But some guys like to get out and play a little bit. I don't know. That's just, I really wanted to pick your guys' brain a little bit tonight on that. That's my one big thing, if you will. I really wanted to ask you guys tonight. I mean, do they sit in the back and go, we're going to keep our 5.0? And it started with, why didn't the NTPA adapt the damn box charger rule for the 5.0s? That's where it started from. Why did they allow a different turbo? Because here we go again. you know, vroom. So I don't know. That's just my thought. So, and you guys,
Do you want our thoughts on why it happened that way, or
do you truly believe that pulling associations sit in the back room? Do you think the NTPA and the PPL and the Outlaws sit in the back room and go, "We're going to make our rules just so the guys can't go, and the guys and gals can't pull anywhere else"? Do you truly believe that?
Well, I don't think you'll see that. I mean, most of them are close enough where guys can go and pull in different places. It may not be an exact deal, but I mean, I know most places, if you have a group of guys that want to pull, they're going to try to adapt them into a class that they can already, that you can't have. I mean, we've been through this in the state association here. You can't just create a class because you get a group of guys that want to come. You get that, it's that watered down effect. But in the case of the pro stocks, it's 100% the cost of a full blown pro stock. They are so expensive to run. And, you know, if you're going to jump into that class, man, hats off to you. But the 5-inch pro, sorry, the 5.0 pro,
thank you,
it's a way to essentially get the same ride and not have near the maintenance. That is 100% what it is. Those 5.0 pros will live. And not that a full-blown pro won't live, but I mean, you know, if you're going to run on Champions Tour or Grand National, you're gonna have to run it on kill if you want to win. I mean, yeah, can you make up some of that with setup? Absolutely. But those top guys, you know, you've got to be right there with them, and they're not cutting corners, and they're not bringing it back, you know, a little bit. They're running on kill, as they say. And when they're able to make them live, that's what makes it great. But man, if they don't live, it's rough. It is rough. I mean, not only is it time and expense, but man, you got to have the parts to do that. And you can build a badass pro stock, full blown, biggest charger, biggest intercooler, everything you want, newest, latest, greatest, and you can burn it down in one pass. It's not hard to do. A 5.0 pro, you can make them live, and you can be competitive. And there's a lot of guys that are not wanting to do that big pro stock game anymore. It's just getting to be too much. And I don't blame them. You pull where your budget allows and where you know how much you want to do.
Where do you just say then you don't get to be a pro stock then, like to Brent Payne's idea? Where do you just say, well, okay, these are the classes we have, and why do we keep adding more classes?
Well, but you look at a. So for the longest time, there was for the last how many years, there's been 3 classes. You have 4.1 Limited Pro, which is your pro stock of the 90s, as they say.
Yep.
They added light pros in there. Light pros will make just as much horsepower, if not more, than a Limited Pro. And then there's pro stock. Yeah, there's diesel supers in there, but if you're talking single charger classes, that's what you're looking at. Okay. This is another step in between. It's a big step up from a 4.1. A bigger step up from a light pro. But if a guy has a pro stock that's component, and that's the other big outlier here is ag chassis versus component. The guy has a component pro stock and he doesn't want to run that pro stock game, bring it down to a 5.0. You really don't have to change anything motor setup wise. You put a smaller charger on, pull your cooler off, and you're ready to go play.
But it's a region or it's a state level class. Agreed? And that's where it needs to be.
Yeah, there needs to be more separation between the state and region level classes and the Grand National classes. You can't have state, region, and Grand National all, have 6 classes that you can run all 3 levels with. There needs to be more separation, and that's where Brent Payne was coming from. Was you can go to your county fair and see Grand National, caliber classes there, and not have to travel to a Grand National event. So I think that's something that needs to be. And again, it's a crapshoot in itself, just because obviously then your region classes are your county fairs are.
And Adam, guys want to run nationally but don't want to build national. That was me. That was me. I want to go to Chapel Hill and Bowling Green and Fort Recovery. I do.
But
I mean, we get to go to Toma. We got to go to Hutch this year. But and experiencing that maybe we'll do. But I realize I'm glad 4-1s didn't get on. I'm glad.
But here's the thing.
Muddies the water even more.
Here's the thing too. Pro stock, full blown pro stock guys, say you're champ tour, they usually run 17, 18 hooks a summer. They don't want to run any more than that. They're having to run them on kill so much. You cannot. I mean, if there's a lot of promoters out there that would book a champions tour class and add another session of them, but they can't do that because they will not have a class at the end of the year. And I have a hard time with the regional versus national debate because I don't consider, we say, well, they're not on a grand national level. To me, an outlaw is, there's 3 big organizations out there.
Yeah.
It's NTPA and a region. To say that a 5.0 pro is a regional level class kind of slights the outlaws because they were the ones that were ahead of the curve on all this deal. And I will say it right now on the show, and I'll live and die by it. NTPA not going to a box charger rule it's going to kill this class. It's going to do the same thing that the pro stock is going to. They've got to do the same box charger rule to keep this class where it's at because it's going to turn into another pro stock class. And I think it's a huge mistake that NTPA does not go box charger rule.
If you're going to actually set the class up, and they said from the get-go, we're going to run this as an experiment.
This is where you do it.
Then set the damn thing up for success, not failure.
Yes.
The outlaws have proven that it works. It works. It's because it's not just 1 year. It's not just 2 years. It's 6 or 7 years now. They've done amazing with it. And they sound amazing. Paul, when we did our show the other day, we brought some of Richard Warren's up and Meddings and, the Hillbilly Binder Bracket and those guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and we've got a comment on here. It says box charger would give manufacturer option. The problem with that is that you're going to get into the charger race, just like everybody else is in. What you do is if you're going to do a box charger rule, you say, okay, if it's Weimer, if it's Hartz, whoever, we're going to run your chargers for 2 years. And in that 2 years or 3 years or whatever, you run that. And then you let the class vote on, hey, do we want to step up in chargers or something like that? But you have to maintain that charger for a set amount of time. You can't just give them a wide open playbook because it's going to turn into the 4.1 class. How many updates come out for a 4.1 charger in a summer? And if you're not running that, you're going to be, you're back a little bit. They have to do it, and they have to do it from the outset because it's damn near impossible to get the class to change after it's already established. Why not put in a little bit more restriction when the class starts and then be able to change it down the road with the input of the class? Oh, my God, this is like a crazy idea. But let's put some restrictions up front because – you start spinning these chargers, these 5-inch chargers. If you've not seen this class run, they run hard. You spin these chargers faster and faster. Guess what? You start tweaking it and you start making things. Well, what's going to happen? We're going to pop a charger. It's not a 6 or whatever charger. It's a 5.0 charger, but it's going to pop just like a 6.0 or 6.2 or whatever they are now. You have to set it up from the get-go. And Greg Randall, if you're listening, I implore you to consider doing the box charger rule because this class could be huge. There's so many guys that could jump up from a 4.1 and jump down from a full pro. You have got to put this rule in place, and you can always take it out later, but it is harder than hell to get a new rule put in once the class is established.
2 years. And then
Marv Epperson, if you're listening, we'd implore you too.
Oh yeah, that's the guy.
By the way, welcome to the NTPA as technical services director.
And I had 3 pullers call me and say they want a tire rule, like you just say whole shot 12 plies for 2 years. I'm just telling you what the guys are saying because the 5.0 class was put in for guys that don't want to go all the way to pro stock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you do like you're saying, Paul, if you open up that turbo rule, it's another 4.1, and you're right.
It's a race to the bottom.
2 or 3 years ago, component is the main way to go in that class. Absolutely, Shane. Absolutely, and we all need to go that way. Let's just be real. I'm just pissing a lot of money in an egg chassis. We all do. a lot. So,
yeah. But I
So
mean,
you-
there's different things that can be considered on that. But I mean, as far as from a get-go on the class, you know, I think the box charger is an absolute must. I think a tire rule is probably a good way to go, but it's exactly like Moose said here. The higher ups on the boards need to listen to the people. Just, you know, we've got to keep that class in check, because it's, quite honestly, if they keep going like they are, you're going to pull up to a pole and you're going to see 10, 12 pro stocks running across the country, because nobody wants to really play in that game unless they're able to do so. And you have to make that jump. There's a huge jump from a 5.0 pro that you don't have to constantly be in that motor to a full-blown pro. I mean, I'll just throw it out there. You talk to RJ, you talk to Brandon, you talk to Masterson, you talk to all those guys that are running on those big stages Smuckers. I guarantee you, they are in those motors. They are checking them over all the time, because it is a function of the class. You have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is another good point. This
somebody's
is another good point right here. I don't know who this Facebook user is, but that is something that I think a lot of the polling associations and, you know, state levels and national associations, that there's a lot of old guys that are stuck in their ways. You know, a lot of the people that have been in the sport for 30, 40, you know, plus years, that they don't like change, or they don't want to see that change. And I think that's something that needs, you know, and I don't know the best way to go about it to, you know, convince them and change their mind, or if it's just, you know, a matter of just over time, just got to, you know, vote them out and get that fresh blood in there that's, you know, wants to put the best rules and put the best, you know, minds together to, you know, make polling the best that it can be. Because there is a lot of good ideas that are out there, but people just don't want to listen, and it's happening.
Welcome to tractor pulling. We wholeheartedly embrace technology from 1981.
I will say, on that note right there is perfect segue in. I would like to congratulate our newest director in the ITPA, Mr. Eli Lisk. He is now on the board. He was voted in here recently. We had a position open up, and Eli is now a Southern Zone director.
Attaboy. Well deserved.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And he's got a tractor being built. Some of you may not know that.
I did not know that, and I saw him last weekend.
He's working on a 6850 Pro Farm. He probably didn't want me to tell that, but too bad. You work for me now.
Paul, do we have to delete this show now?
Yeah, probably.
Nope. It's public knowledge. It was on the ITPA Facebook page, so it's out there. It's airborne. You can't take it back.
This is all Jeremy. Is it Yantes or Jans? I'm sorry, I'm butchering his last name, but he's commenting on our truck and tractor pulling Facebook.
And he's got a very good point. He does have a very good point.
Yeah.
The charger rule is a lot easier to police, I guess you could say. I mean,
the guys that called me the tire rule guys who just said, we don't care, just 12 ply whole shot, for example. We don't care how many lugs you put on it, whatever. It's just, you have to run this tire.
Yes.
So then I get
and a lot of it, let's be honest, a lot of it has to do with the Mitas tires coming out. That's kind of been a game changer. Before that, it was 12 plies to 14 plies.
Well, it was those damn Indian Parks for us.
And yes, that was another one that came in there. But this really kicked into gear with the Mitas tires, because they come in way different than what any of the other tires do. So that is one big thing that these associations have to do, is they have to figure out how they're going to police that.
Yantes. I'm practicing how to say his name, guys. Sorry.
There you go.
No.
But yeah, that's the whole tire, man. That thing is, the last 3 years has just erupted into it is like the turbo technology, you know.
Yes.
It's honestly, it's escalating just as quickly as the those turbochargers. And yeah, the tire game is just, it's out of this world.
Well, you think about it, it wasn't even a year ago when, of course, we knew that the Mitas tires, the 24.5s were coming. The 30.5 has been out there for years.
Yeah.
The 24.5s came at the truck show.
Mhm.
Peter and Rob Russell had a set. And, you know, that was not even a year ago. And this summer, what have you heard on tires? Mitas, and you've seen them in more than one class.
Well, Andy was all wound up the other night on Charles' power ranking. And he said once Masterson's figured out the Mitas, you know, that was the Grandview Gangsters, all those comments on there. I know Charles did some of that on purpose just to wind up Andy, to be honest. But
well, it's not hard.
Oh, don't be so sure of that. We like to wind up Andy once in a while.
Yeah.
Winding up Andy is good for ratings.
It is. It keeps the people jamming. So Brent was a really good guest tonight. We stayed over 150 to 200 consistently for live viewers all night long. So that was good. And I really did enjoy his transparency and honesty. And one of you guys mentioned it earlier. He's earned the right to just say it is what it is, fellers. You know what I mean? I think we need more of that. I don't know, but who wants to be on a board? The NTPA, the WPI, who's all on that WPI board? Who are the decision makers?
I have no idea.
Roger Weissong, Von Bauer is on there now. Scott Doty's on there now.
Yep.
Like these are some newer people getting on the arm?
Yeah, there's two. Vaughn and Scott were voted on this last year.
Doty is the flag guy at Louisville, right? The end of the flag.
Yep.
Yes.
Those Bowling Green.
The Wolverine puller guy.
Yeah, I don't remember who's. Let me take a look. Dale Kwame and George Everett, and I'm going to ignore Moose's comment, but yes, he still has his hand in there. But yeah, you know, at least I think it's, you know, Von Bauer, I think it was a good person to have on the WPI board because he is an innovator of the sport. And you know, Adam is another one that they're always looking for the latest and greatest and trying to figure out, you know, how to kind of push the limits. And that's kind of what you need to do to open up new ideas to try to make the sport just better and try to.
This comment on the screen, guys, I copied it and pasted it over from the group. This is what Jeremy Yantis had said. We have forgotten why NTPA came into existence for a national unification of rules. I told Charles last week, go sit in a rules meeting, eye-opening. Pulling is right back where it was in 1968 with different rules everywhere with the exception of a few classes like two-wheel drive and 4-1.
Spot on.
I am not a historian. I do not remember 1968, what was going on. Pulling became real to me in the 90s. So and it was a very, very ECI regional, level. I saw what I saw in the Puller magazine and got to go to Toma. You know what I mean? That was my life from a pulling thing. So, but yeah, I don't know, that comment, guys, really, and it just keeps beating in my brain that, yeah, they're doing it to keep their pullers and their membership, I guess. So,
yeah,
because I would start thinking about like the Outlaw Super Farms. I've asked a lot of those guys, they don't care to go pulling anywhere else. They're fine with it. They're happy with the Outlaws. They get their 25 hooks, and that's why they want you.
Part of that too is geography. I mean, logistically, guys that are running the Outlaws, I mean, yeah, if they can go play in out east somewhere, they might take a week or two and go out there and play, but it's not realistic for them to go hook a region schedule, out east somewhere. It's just not. There are very few people that can do that. I don't care what class it is. It's just take off and go pull somewhere else for the hell of it. But anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I just I'm so with you, Charles, on the box rule. All you guys on the box rule for the 5.0. Just because it's meant to be a limited class, and if they made us run a box charger, but like somebody said, you would just you're going to go spend money somewhere else. But guys, there's guys putting billet cranks in antique tractors now. So don't tell me, you know what I mean? I just assumed antique was a starter class. It's not. It's guys who truly are passionate about that style of pulling. and they'll spend whatever it takes. So no matter what we do, because Paul, you and I touched on this briefly, the NASCAR-ration, if you will, of pulling, but maybe, you still got to read the track. You still got to drive it. You still got to, air pressure in your tires. You still got to weight it, pick your gear. There's a lot of stuff going on. So.
Yep. All right. Let's talk about something fun. We got something coming up here Friday.
You want to talk something fun, or you want to talk something controversial? You want to start some shit, or what?
It's 10:08. We can't get into it too heavy.
All right. Well, get to the fun stuff. Then I want to talk about safety.
Oh yes, I know where that's going.
Yeah, you know exactly where this is going.
We still have a lot of people watching, so let's talk about the championship.
So yes, so we had this harebrained idea to do this tractor pull last year called the Pullers Championship. We have been meeting about this. We had the first year, and we're going to do it again this year, or in 2023, I should say. Track and Holes Hours, May the 19th and 20th, Friday. This coming Friday, we are going to release the classes, and Shane is asking a little tease of what's to come. At the end of last year, after it was all over, Brent put together a survey, and he sent it out, and he said, we wanted to know what we do right, what we do wrong, who do you want to see next year, what classes do need to be changed, do you want us to change anything, even all the way down to comments from pullers about, hey, we need more trash cans in the pits. We wanted to know every minute detail. So we've been talking about this. And this Friday, we're going to release the classes that we're going to have at TPC 2023. So stay tuned to the Facebook page. Brent, I don't know when he's got that scheduled. I know he's got some pretty cool stuff planned for the actual reveal. And we're going to see what we're going to do in May. So
Shane, I will give you a teaser of what's to come. They're all going to have tires on them. We have not gone to tracked classes yet.
But to go off Paul's saying, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. on Friday, Central Time. So
there you go. There it is. That's the date.
So just be on the lookout for that. There's classes that we had last year that are back, and there's going to be new classes. So we'll leave it at that.
Yes, really. They'll all have tires on them. Adam, you need to go to Charles's website. You need to go and look for, or maybe just go out to YouTube and search for Chet Prinz, Jet Set Revenge. And then you can nerd out. And you can send me a text and tell me what you think. That guy was from my hometown. And actually, for all of you watching, that's it's kind of a cool throwback all the way back through history. There were some guys who did some really cool stuff for exhibition pulls. But let's talk about safety, and let's talk about morons who don't enforce it. Jason, do it. Go to Logan's post. Go to Logan's post, please.
Well, Logan Thomas?
Yes.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I really don't.
Oh, you're going to love this.
Oh, you haven't read Pull-Off lately.
I haven't.
Oh, I haven't either. So if somebody's brought it up on Pull-Off, then that's awesome.
Was this the turn?
That's the one right there. Okay, so let's watch this.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. You can leave the sound on. There's nothing wrong with that. It sounds good.
Do you want me to play it?
Yeah, please do. Please do. Bang! Now watch the flag.
Watch the flagman's arm.
Watch him picking shrapnel out of his freaking arm. Because whoever is running tech for this organization, and this is the Appalachian Outlaws, I will name names. I don't know who runs tech. I don't give a rat's ass. But if you're going to put your own people in harm's way, you need to hang it up. Go home.
Do you see the cable around the compressor housing?
Yeah, I do.
That's the only thing that it has, which is good, but that's not what it needs to be.
Well, like you guys saw what happened to my tractor, and nothing came out of that thing. There's some stuff. There's some stuff on the ground, but it did everything. I mean, I got all the stuff we have to. I mean,
the one thing that your tractor has, and that pretty well all other tractors and trucks in an association is, you see that little center section right there, that little spinny blade thing with all those
spinning wheel of death
fins. When those things come apart, they go everywhere, and they're little and they're metal, and boy, will they go through some stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody dropped the ball hard.
Why?
Shit, they weren't even playing in the right game.
Why on earth and this is one of those outlaw organizations, they run their own deal. They run a very limited schedule. You don't see a lot of those guys, I don't think, running with, any of the bigger organizations, although I think some do. But where was your head letting an exposed charger sitting above the hood make a pass? How did you let that through tech? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And why didn't your insurance agent come and smack you in the face with a tire iron? And I hope they do. I hope the insurance agent is watching.
God, that poor flag guy.
Mm-hmm.
You look at where he's picking that out. It's right here. It's right here. There's some things in here that don't react well with sharp metal objects.
They're grenades, you guys. They're Claymore mines.
Well, and further, and to go a little bit further, if you look at Colton Unger's video of this class on YouTube, there's a two-wheel drive guy who's in a T-bucket. This is like the run what you brung deal. And Homeboy was on the throttle for at least 3.5 seconds outside the chalk lines. He damn near put a wheel over the Jersey barrier. He almost ran over the unhooker.
We saw it on the beginning of the show.
Ryan, somebody sent that to me. I got it right
here. It was on the beginning of the show. It hung the sled up on the concrete barrier.
That's not the one.
That's not.
No, that wasn't it.
I'll send you the full video.
Two-wheel drive. It's a red T-bucket.
Oh, sorry. That was a two-wheel drive.
I'm sending you the video, and it's at 105.
Okay. When was this? Anybody know?
Not this last weekend, but the weekend before.
Yeah, that.
The original was taken down that I shared. Here's a screen recorded copy. A real good example. 60 Logan of why the shielding into place. Okay. What do you say?
Adam, I appreciate the text message, but I don't care. Stupidity gets called out when it happens, where it happens.
105?
Yeah.
Brent?
You're there.
There you go, right there. Here's where it gets interesting.
Hey, just keep going, right? Couldn't see the line.
Like ZFG all the way. And then the guy has the nerve to get online and start trying to defend his position when I called him out on it. And this is not a case of me versus him. I've never met the guy. I don't know if I ever will. I wouldn't recognize him if he came up and hit me in the face with the aforementioned tire iron. I wouldn't see it coming.
Oh my
But
God.
I will call out stupid where stupid is, and that guy is stupid. And he tries to defend himself saying, I've got 500 passes, I've got 30 years of experience. Yeah, you apparently didn't learn from any of it.
Looking back to see if he took out the camera guy.
Right. And that's also, as I think, I understand. I think that's the unhooker guy.
That's a flagger, isn't it?
No,
He had a-
it
he had
wasn't
a
the
camera.
flagger.
He had a
Flagger
phone
was
in
out
his
of
hand.
camera.
Oh my God, look how close that is, you guys.
I know. How many times have we all said that we are one bad accident away from this sport never happening again? And it's douche canoes like this organization that get us closer and closer and closer. And I don't care if I catch the hell for this. I'm
When
too old.
you think that you know you're out of bounds when you're taking out two different cones?
Yeah, I mean, geez.
Right.
I mean, you guys have all know. I mean, Ryan, you've seen people's eyes when they're looking down at the lines.
He knows.
Very much so.
He knows.
He knows.
Don't tell me
And
he
he's-
doesn't
and-
know. If he doesn't see that, he shouldn't be driving a truck.
And he had the nerve to try and rationalize it.
I know this truck. I've seen it a lot in Clint Tucker's Wild Ride DVDs.
Imagine that. The homeboy had the nerve to try and rationalize it by saying, "Oh, it's I was in a points race."
Doesn't matter.
Really?
Across the white line, points are done.
Yeah, you know what? If you cross the chalk, you ain't gonna win a championship. I don't care.
Yeah, no, it's over. Holy crap.
So, yeah, and the guy says something to, because I made the comment and asked what was up with that. And it's all in Logan's thread in that post. If you want to read it, you want to laugh and you want to,
I'm gonna let people find
throw
out.
a little gas on the fire, you can go and look for it and do it. Go ahead. That's up to you. But, Homie had the nerve to talk about, call me a backseat driver. And I responded to him. I said, Homie, if I was your backseat driver, I wouldn't have thought twice about pulling your kill switch. And you know what? F your motor. I don't care if I wreck it. Because if it's a choice between you wrecking my sled and squashing that guy's legs and me wrecking your motor, sorry, homie, you're going to have to save up for a new motor. And I won't think twice. And I think every sled operator in the country would back me up, except the backseat driver that was in that sled.
Yeah.
Safety is a thing, guys. If we're going to do this, let's at least try and set ourselves up for success and not act like douchebags. And let everybody pull or let something through tech or let this kind of crap happen just in the name of providing a good show or when accidents happen. Oh, that's pulling. No, it's not. That's stupidity.
That guy was filming. That guy was filming, you guys.
Yes, he was.
was.
But the guy that was the first cone that he hit, he watched that thing come off the front tire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Whatever. The driver should have definitely got out of it.
And me and a handful of guys called him out on it.
Wow.
Kevin, I would encourage you to go find that thread and read it. It's highly educational.
You guys.
Jason, I told you that I would call out stupidity when
No.
and
I
where.
don't care. I don't care. This is
Look at what's on the weight box. I am coming for you. You know what? We are coming for you.
That's calm your tits, Rue. You're starting to
shut up, Gerbaugh. You've taught me too well.
That's awesome.
But I'm sorry,
Preach, brother Andy. Preach, brother Andy.
No, because I have been that guy on the chalk line shooting. I try and keep myself safe, but I can't keep the flagman safe. I can't keep that guy, whatever the hell he's doing. And he probably shouldn't have been out there with his phone.
That was going to be my next comment is
he was in the wrong for
he
doing
should
that.
not be there.
See, that's one thing that PPL does a really good job of is Christie is very good with making sure that everyone's out of the way and that, I mean, it needs to be taken seriously because, Ruth said it. It's going to take one accident to just shut everything down.
Well, I hope every pulling association and promoter sees this video because we do. We all get too close. We all do. And hookers and I mean, from the sled operator point of view, that happens so fast. I've
Right.
been there. The driver clearly no Fs were given.
Right. And he still gives 0 Fs to this very minute. He's probably typing a response right
He's
now.
looking. He's
I will
that
tell you,
shot
as a
right
driver,
there.
Yeah, as a
That
driver,
shot right there. That
Yeah.
guy is looking to see if he took out that guy filming. He's looking to see where that guy is.
Yeah, maybe don't play the next second of that clip though.
Why?
Because
the
dude
guy
with
gets
the
up
phone
laughing.
just gives him he laughs and gives him the thumbs up.
Well, he's just happy he's alive. I don't know.
Yeah, ish. I probably would have walked over and found a tire iron.
You imagine if that buckboard would have got him.
Uh-huh.
That buckboard don't give.
No.
He's going under that sled.
Look at that! Look at that cone. It's just mangled.
Oh, it's destroyed.
Stupid. Just stupid.
Yeah. So, Appalachian Outlaws, get it together.
This happened at both of their deals?
No, this was in the same class at the Listy Nationals.
For real.
For real.
Wow. Well, gonna think twice about going 6850 Pro Farm pulling there. Just saying.
He never let out of it.
Not one iota.
Look at that. Butterflies wide open.
Wide open.
Oh, I better stop and check.
Yep.
Yeah. See how bad I just.
So he had the forethought to know that he was putting that guy's life in danger. He just didn't give a shit. Sorry, but that makes you irresponsible. And if you were in any professional association, you'd have been unhooked. You'd have been shown the gate and told not to come back. Guarantee you, Wisconsin tractor pullers, PPL, Tucker, they all would have done that. They would have thrown you out for at least a year, if not forever. And this is just plain irresponsible, letting a Charger sticking that far above the hood.
Okay, I'm not a motor guy, Paul. Why? I mean, what's set up? I mean, tell me why that turbo's up like that. Why it's not down like where
because he thinks it looks cool.
Well, no,
and because it doesn't fit.
It's the easiest way to mount that Charger.
Yep.
Get the stack coming straight out. He came off of the side of that V6 motor or that 6-cylinder motor. Stuck it right up, stuck an exhaust manifold on there, and set a Charger on top of it.
So this is something that he's probably been doing all year then, correct?
Oh, this wasn't just this. I mean, this truck is built. You can see underneath the front end.
He built a truck like this. I mean, yeah.
This is not something that he just did. This has been like this for a while.
Yeah, that's
right. And this is not a new problem. Ryan Pickard had this same problem when he had his first gen that he pulled with ECI and Mid-Iowa.
There's a reason why they relocate those Chargers on your super stock diesels and stuff like that to get them down under and get them shielded.
Right. And Ryan Pickard, when he built his was a black first gen, looked a lot like this. Mm-hmm. He built the biggest, tallest, and Ryan, I love you, but that hood was so freaking ugly, it wasn't even funny. Because it came up a solid 6 inches to cover that Charger because he wanted to build it safely. He didn't want to hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you look right there, this picture right here, he's got a cable around the compressor cover. So a lot of times what you'll see him do is run blankets around there. That is to keep that Charger in. The only problem is that does not keep the wheel inside, and that's what he had happen here. He threw the wheel out of it, and he threw it through the guillotine. And when the wheel came off, it took the guillotine with it.
Mm-hmm. The problem
is
took the guillotine and the intake side out.
The shaft speed on that. I mean, it's not uncommon to see 90,000 RPM, 100,000 RPMs on these Chargers. I don't know how hard he's turning that thing, but it's not going slow.
No. So it's a miracle that the flag guy's arm didn't look like freaking hamburger. Ugh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing that guy hasn't. And as far as I know, because I called out the Appalachian Outlaws, I tagged him in that post, and I asked 3 questions. I said, 1, has your flagman finally finished picking out the shrapnel out of his arm? 2, how did you let this happen? How did you let this guy through tech? And 3rd, why on earth did dude in the T-bucket go hammer down for 3.5 seconds or whatever? As far as I know, they haven't answered me yet. And I mean, quite frankly, I don't care if they answer me or not. They know what they did. They know that was stupid.
I didn't see any of this coming tonight.
Yeah. Chad Stevenson, your comment is exactly right.
Don't we have some turbo?
We do.
Let's find some video.
Yes, we do. We have the Stummy brothers, both of them.
Yep.
And they were tagged immediately. Phil,
no D.
I'm sorry, but yes, I knew better than that. Thanks.
Yeah, you did.
You can look up just look up my videos from like Monticello, Iowa.
There you go. Shane, that's a very good question, and I do not know the answer.
They'd have been there in 2019, right?
Yeah, there would have been 3, I believe, there that year. 2 or 3, depending. Both the Stummies were there.
Stummies and Mark Ham and
Lynn Stummy. Right there's one.
There's one. That's Mark Ham, Mark J. Ham.
Double stuff had his turbo shrouded.
Mark Ham, the imposter. Not going to be as loud this time, folks. Exhaust going up through the turbos instead of coming right straight out the headers. See if you got the bugs out of it.
God, listen to the RPMs.
Okay, so what's the difference between that and then what we just saw?
Well, you can see that he's got shrouds at least around his.
Right.
So
for anything that's going to go out.
So most of the time it is when they go, they'll take the compressor, the housings out because it's aluminum. You'll throw the blades somewhat into the housing and that'll kind of take the blow. But because really with your any single charger tractor or whatever, like a Pro Stock or a 4.1, the front of it is open. They've got to be open because that's how they breathe. But it's behind the grill. It is behind some sort of sheet metal. There are scatter shields on the side of the motor so that if it does let loose, then that's the case. It's not that it was open on the front. It's that the compressor housing was not shrouded. It does have it did have a cable on it. And I don't know what that black thing was. It almost looks like it had somewhat of a blanket on it, but I don't know. It's just normally they don't, especially in a diesel, they're not allowed to sit out there without having that because normally you're running higher boost pressures on diesels, and that's the big issue. Gas motors and alcohol burners, if they've got a charger on them, they don't run near the boost pressure that a diesel will generate. But I mean, I've seen this summer in a 4.1 a wheel come out the front of the tractor. There's a as they push these things harder and harder. I've seen a lot of chargers pop this summer, whether it be a smaller charger or a bigger charger, as they turn them faster, and that's what they're starting to do. They're trying to slow them down to where they're not doing that. And when, like Bruce was saying earlier, when you stop one of these motors, Schultz, you know about this. you have to pull the guillotine or something stops real fast on a turbocharged motor, guess what? You're putting a new wheel in if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you're putting pistons and pulling the head and finding out how much of that thing you swallowed.
Oh, Jason's been that not lucky guy.
Yeah. That's just the nature of the way those things operate. It's pretty rare to see them throw things out the front like that. But in this case, when it blew, it threw the guillotine off the front of the Charger.
Yep.
Now his compressor housing did stay together, but that should have had at least, at the very minimum, some sort of shrouding around it. Not saying that would have kept everything inside the direction. Blades like this, when they scatter, they tend to go out, not forward.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Robert, 140,000 RPMs on a 3-inch Charger. I was being very conservative with that number that I threw out there. I know how fast these things turn. It's crazy. They have sensors.
I didn't know you guys were turning them that hard, Rob.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They are monitoring shaft speed on a lot of these tractors, and they go zing, 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 zing.
So spinning wheel of death was actually pretty accurate.
Pretty much. Those things are, yeah. And that's the other thing too, is that they'll throw water in and stop that expansion. And it's odd because they throw the water in front. They don't directly inject it. They put it in there and let it turn and come back in.
So yeah, I wanted to bring that to, I mean, we've vowed to tell the stories of pulling. We've vowed to talk about current events. This is a current event that deserved to be talked about.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 2.5 hours. Are we good?
Remember that time we said we're going to go for an hour?
What a stupid thing that was.
We're gonna put that squarely on the shoulders of Brent Payne, because he just talked and talked and talked and talked.
That Brent Payne guy, we gotta shut him up.
That guy.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
If you want, you can throw me under the bus on this one, because I just added 20 minutes.
So
we all have our.
People stick around, guys. There's still 100 people watching. So I mean, it's not like if we had 7 people watching, even I'm gonna say it's bedtime, fellers. But it's
seriously, there are 100 of you with nothing better to do.
Oh, don't you dare do that, Ruth. Don't you dare do that.
We appreciate you sticking around.
These people are fans. Okay, guys.
Would love to see you guys voice your opinions on this, either in the comments here or elsewhere.
Yeah, no.
What was the name of it? What was the name of the guy who posted the video again? Maybe you should put that in the comments.
Which one? But Logan Thomas?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Maybe you should put that name in the comments.
Okay.
Brent, you saw what I did there.
Yeah.
I'm not above mobilizing somebody to, mobilizing a crowd to improve the safety of our sport.
No, it's all good.
Because you know what? That could have been, you and I could have been the ones picking the shrapnel out of our arms. You and I both spent how much of our summer at the end of a 300-foot track or at the middle of a 300-foot track?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to pick the shrapnel out of your arm? I don't. I picked shrapnel out of my arm. It was from Braden Schrammick. It was not fun. I didn't like it. 0 of 10. Would not recommend.
Yeah, picking shrapnel out of is never fun.
It was in Wayne, Nebraska.
And it makes it even worse when it's an easily preventative thing. There's things that'll happen that's just out of control. It's the nature of the beast. These guys are pushing them to the limits, but when there's a safety precaution in place for preventing some of these things to happen, and you don't take those, and these brush pulls or smaller clubs just don't enforce these rules, that's when Bruce goes on his
that's when I tee up a rant.
Exactly.
It is what it is, guys. We're one accident away from this never happening again. I don't want that to happen, and I don't think any of you guys do either.
On that happy note, love you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I'll pick the shrapnel out of your arms if I have to. I won't want to.
Thanks, buddy. I know.
Yeah, if
I
you
would
ever
do
want
all-
to know the definition of true love, it's I will pick the pieces of turbocharger out of your shoulder.
Mhm.
Wyatt, I need to get a hold of Charles and Tyler Slaw to see what night we can get them on there. No wheel tethers.
Yeah, we don't talk. We're not bringing that up.
No.
Not tonight, anyway.
That's a different discussion.
Yeah. So
10 a.m. Friday. Pullers Championship Facebook page. See the classes.
Yeah,
Y'all can
guys.
tee off on your rants then.
Okay, more. And I was in the middle of Iowa 2 weeks ago, by Humboldt, Iowa, which is south of Jackson, Minnesota. It's a flowery drive.